is the Asylum podcast. We have actual standards, unlike every other podcast.
I will.
StarCitizen.
Do you just want me to leave now?
No, I will send you. I will send you a link to the documents for both
Just
of you.
don't click delete all, because Madness may cry.
Please don't delete all. Fucking don't delete all. I will murder you.
Madness. Why are there photographs of when you're on holiday? What?
Shh. I only wear a bikini occasionally. Very occasionally.
Only when he's in Thailand.
I don't have the bankroll to afford that.
Miz, if you can just forward that to Kai for me, please.
I have, I think.
Oh yeah,
You have. There's loads of links and shit.
There's tons of stuff, yeah. So, so we have random stuff to start with, which is a kind of a few bits of kind of interesting things we'll kick off with. A few interesting tidbits. We've got the Reddit section. This evening we have the talking points. Now the talking points is broken up into basically 2018. I have done from 3.0 all the way through to 3.5 and maybe 3.6 as well. And we're just going to basically talk over the year, how we found the year, how all the kind of the bits that we thought were good and bad and all this kind of stuff. Give a bit of a roundup. And then we have ATV as well, which if we want to, we can go to and talk about that. But I mean, it is what it is. We saw female model characters. There's a whole thing I could talk about for the entire show about female characters. I think I talked on Captain's Table heavily at one point in chat about the female characters for the entire evening, or someone's, I can't remember whose channel I was in, but I would think I was disrupting chat talking about the lack of sexiness, but that was just me being me.
Bring
So
sexy back.
that's the kind of outline for the evening show. I'll kick off with
And we do, as always, guarantee at least 10% StarCitizen chat.
yes.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of StarCitizen chat because I did a fucking ton of work, so let's put it that way. Okay, so the first topic of the evening is not
I
podcast.
can't help but feel I probably would have benefited with receiving this more than,
Are we looking?
45 seconds ago.
I know, I know. It's okay, don't worry.
Are we looking at random stuff? Is that what we're doing? Now?
Yeah.
Random. So this is random. So this is basically Daniel Offner has been given the director position at CRG UK, the foundry company, Foundry 42, recently filed, and this guy is now one of the is now an investor or whatever you want to call it. He is basically company recently filed and appointed him as director at CIG. He is Daniel. I think his name is Offner. If you search around, he is one of entertainment industry's top lawyers and investors. He's involved in many investments such as the Oculus Rift and its billionaire sale to Facebook.
I will also say he's also part of Alcon Entertainment, which is the company that is behind The Expanse.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so he's a big deal.
So he gets his fingers in many pies.
Ubisoft. I'm looking at his stuff. He's represented THQ, Ubisoft, Konami, Eidos, Sony, Warner Music,
He's
Gameloft,
like the Elon Musk of gaming.
Tryon.
Thing, basically.
He's a gaming lawyer. He's represented all the major gaming companies out there.
Yeah. So he's an interesting one. There's a lot of people. The reason why I basically brought this up as a topic of conversation is because I was in someone's chat the other day, and I said that basically look, I firmly believe, based on some of the research that I've dug up on the backstories of CIG and some of the people who were part of the original kind of groups and stuff like that, that there are people who are investors in CIG in the game. There are investors, people who have an investment far greater than just the average plebs, 10, 20, 30,000 or whatever it is. There are people who have invested in this game.
Average plebs, 30, 50,000.
Yeah, those average plebs.
That's not your average pleb.
I feel like I'm writing up now.
Those average ones. The average whale.
That's the average pleb. What the fuck am I-
The average minnow.
How much time I spent deliberating over upgrading to a cutlass? Jesus Christ! Thanks.
The average one. So there are, but I got into. I think I don't know where I was, but I was in someone's chat, and they basically completely said, "Oh, you're saying Derek Dick Splat, whatever his name is, words and stuff," and I was like, I nearly kind of no one's going to take you seriously, and I'm like, dude, does Derek Smart own the rights to say that that there could be investment people? And he doesn't own the right to say it. It's just because this is the thing that gets me annoyed about this guy. It's like he brands his brand. He's like says a few things about a few things, and then it's immediately nobody else can talk about it because immediately you are suddenly this guy's bum buddy, and it's like. I'm not his bum buddy. I have no interest in what Derek Smart. He's completely self-involved. He's completely all about attacking the family, and he goes all the wrong way, in my opinion. But there are other things that are interesting to talk about, and this is a big one for me because it means I firmly believe, and this is where I'm going with it. I firmly believe that CIG will ultimately, eventually float as a company. I think that CIG as a company is going to be one of the biggest, if not one of the largest. It will be the largest PC gaming making company in the world within the next 10 to 15 years. And I expect them to be doing more things than just StarCitizen. I expect them to be doing other things as well.
I agree. I think if you think CIG is just going to be doing StarCitizen, then you're lacking imagination, because the number of people who are young and talented in that company who are looking to make a career of themselves after StarCitizen, after CIG, is too big. And so CIG will probably end up doing, they may not do like another StarCitizen level project, but they may take 15, 20 people from the project once, say, Squadron 42 is done, and have them do a little side project, either in the StarCitizen universe or its own universe. A lot of the game developers make their own games on their own time. We've seen that with, for instance, the guy who made Hyper Vanguard Force, and then one of the guys who used to be the level designer for StarCitizen. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Sean Noonan. He's making his own Jack B. Nimble, which is a game he's been making
and other things.
For a long. Yeah, so we know that's the case, and the reality is that there have been plenty of people who've come forward and said that CIG at one point had approached them or had asked them to become private investors, and there's even one guy who does a whole thing. It's mostly just like negative stuff about StarCitizen and how he thinks the game's going to fail. But it's an interesting topic, because he claims he was an investor in Squadron 42 back before the Kickstarter campaign really ramped up. And so he talks a little bit about his experience with that as well. So we know that they've existed for a while. And I've been saying for a long time, if you don't think they haven't invested some of this money into some future holdings, you're crazy. Companies like CIG don't survive when they get $30 million and they've got 12 people in a basement. They don't survive just by going, yeah, money, let's blow let's get some hookers and blow. It's like, no. They put that shit in somewhere else and invest it in something else, and they ask for other people to try to help them out. So I don't know why this guy's invested, or what the reason why he's invested in 23 million into UK.
Joking aside, what I said before with Elon Musk, it is basically it's his story again, isn't it? Let's face it. He's got a vision. He's put all of his eggs in one basket. But Elon Musk is an entrepreneur, so it's the same format. They're not going to stop at hitting StarCitizen. They're going for broke on StarCitizen. They'll throw everything they've got at StarCitizen. Argue hypothetically whether it goes or whether it doesn't go. Let's focus on the positive, the fact that it goes. You're going to have all of those assets left over. They're already going to be looking into investing that into other areas now. They won't be waiting until it's finished. They'll be working steps ahead. And you can see it with the way they're becoming more regular with the updates and consistent with the updates. They're starting to hammer things down into place. Like everything up until now has felt like a test bed to see what will or won't work. And now they've dicked around with the test bed to the point where they're really confident that they can start rolling things out. Once it starts rolling out, they're going to start sticking their fingers into other pie. And even if it's from they become a publisher in their own right, it could be anything ranging from they make things or they literally just throw money at stuff.
Yeah.
And like, we want to share that.
Like, yeah, and they got like 500 staff, and like everyone says, it happens in a lot of MMOs. Like when it releases, it's like, well, what do you do with the staff? Like they're not going to want to just go, oh, but you're all sacked and fired because we don't need that many people now. They might as well make something of those people that they've got. Yeah. They've invested time and money training them up as well. Like they've been getting a lot of people.
From what I've talked about with CIG's developers, like for people I know who work at CIG now, who I knew before they went into CIG, and from the people I've been able to talk to with like the directors and everything else like that, these guys have all been to studios and they all know the general studio, rigmarole. Hey, you're here. Thank you for working. Spend 4 years. Here's a pink slip. Goodbye. And CIG doesn't want to do that. They want to keep these people on for long term. They want to become a Blizzard. It's really been spoken in everything that they've done.
I'd say they'd be more of a wargaming than a Blizzard, because Blizzard died years ago because EA took over Blizzard like years ago.
Activision. So yes.
Sorry, Activision.
But a lot of them.
I think wargaming's got more of that ironclad grip that I think you'd see coming out of CIG if they went into something.
Riot Games as well as
I'm talking about
I'm talking about like how it's especially old Blizzard, where a lot of these guys came from old Blizzard. A lot of the developers came from old Blizzard. It's more of a you come in and you make it beyond like a couple of years, you're there for life. Like they're not going to fire you unless you just fuck up. And because they want you, because they want that experience, because they want to carry that on. And so if you become, a really good developer or a really good, engineer or whatever, they say, hey, we'll pull this guy off of, onto this team because he could help. We could use his experience. And CIG themselves has said that they want to do every 2 years after the release of Squadron 42 Part 1, they want to do a new single-player standalone experience. They want to do Squadron 42 Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, Chapter 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, they've talked about, maybe doing a pirate perspective, something more like a privateer. And they've said they just want to do single-player experiences in Star Citizen every 2 or 3 years with the assets they have.
Yeah.
Think of something the way, hopefully not as bad, but Telltale Games, how they just use the same engine and the same assets and they flip them, so every couple of years they can make a small game out of that. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Didn't work quite.
But yeah, it didn't quite so well for them. But at the same time, it's a good example of how you could do something like that in CIG based off of their own standards for like why they hire and why they keep people, and based off of like what we all know is like you have 600 people, you're not going to get rid of all of them. You're going to want to have them move on to another project. And if Sean Tracy has an idea for a game, fuck it, let's go with Sean Tracy because Sean Tracy he's made games in the past. He made MechWarrior Living Legends.
I think
most of them have made some kind of games
there as well, because who realistically, when you're looking at the space game genre since I'm trying to think of examples. Freelancer is a classic example. Every so often you need that space exploration solo play game to come out, and like the Telltale as an example, they managed to hit a wave at the right time, but I don't think they developed into and stayed current with the trends, which is why it fell from underneath them. With something like space, first person space combat, exploration, trade, and all of that stuff from a solo perspective, it consistently comes around over and over and over and again. So you can, I think, all but rely on that as a cash cow, especially with the people that are pledged into it now, that are interested in Squadron 42 now. If they do it right, those same people, a couple of years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, are still going to be interested in taking the next installment, as long as the story and the content stays fresh. That'll be it. It's one of those that all but sells itself, I think. So yeah, I think you're definitely right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want to get rid of your staff as much. If you can avoid it, you don't want to get rid of your staff. And I do think that you can easily. I think like you were talking about the Telltale Games. I think Telltale Games is a good example of where if you just stick with one thing all the time and you don't ever evolve and push forward with the main bit, you will die as a brand. I think CIG, they're smart, will always use their core center part of Star Citizen to keep driving forward with technology and newness, but they can have bits off the side with bits to go into different areas. They can sell bits of technology to other people, cloud tech, whatever the little bits are they're doing.
They can sell tools for the lumberyard.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Exactly. They could sell bits because at the end of the day, if they've already got something new that they're already working on that's going to replace it, why not sell that? Because you're already going to have a replacement in a couple of years' time. It's going to be better.
Star Engine's probably worth a fair amount.
Well, I don't know because of all the Crytek issues. See, that's the thing is because they built it based on the previous code. I'm always a bit nervous about what they can do, what they can't sell.
Because I've been looking into the lawsuit.
They're not next. They're on lumberyard now.
So, an engine is complicated, and how engines work is that engines are more than just a monolithic structure. Like lumberyard isn't just it. It's simply a basis for which, with tools implemented in it.
With regards to selling it specifically as well.
That's what I mean. If you develop tools which are separate from the engine, as long as you're not selling the whole engine as a package,
sell the tools.
Sell those tools to other companies who are using the same engine.
I thought their agreement, the reason the issues with the Crytek were they weren't allowed to promote anything.
They're not allowed to build their own
anything.
They couldn't come out with something like Star Engine as its own monolithic structure, as its own packaged. We're going to sell this to other developers, and they may have a different agreement with Lumberyard because CIG moved away from CryEngine and now it's moved on to Lumberyard. And Lumberyard is a distinctive branch separate from CryEngine, even though it's based off of them. You can think of something like the Call of Duty engine is based off of the IdTech 3 engine or IdTech 4 engine, which is the same engine that was the Quake engine. It's the old Quake engine. But they can still use that and modify it because it's slightly different. It depends on legal, those kind of things. But the big thing that's going to take away from StarCitizen's engine development are the tools that it used to update the CryEngine for an online experience. Things like floating 64-point floating precision, things like the OCS stuff. All of this stuff they possibly could sell it on a market, like something like if you go to like the Unity store or the Unreal store, you can like buy assets and entire toolkits for these engines to help you build games. So that would be the equivalent of it. You wouldn't see something like Star Engine, made with the engine, kind of stuff. No, that's legal issues there. So,
sorry, you're getting criticized, Kai. You need to go get yourself a Christmas hat. We can try. I could try and digitally put on a digital.
Go out now. Go find a shop. Supermarkets open.
We could try and digitally put a Christmas hat on his head potentially.
If you sit still, just sit still.
Just don't move. Damn it. Just don't move. But we can put something in there. Don't worry. I can figure it out.
I got this. I already told you.
He's got the Stella. You got the Stella.
I'm the last Boy Scout. Why does nobody ever believe?
Bring the Stella. Just bring the Stella. He's feeling under pressure now. Under pressure. Well done. Good job. Pressure him.
Never under pressure. You're gonna regret asking for this. Really gonna regret it in a second.
I will say this news is intriguing because I hadn't heard anything about this until I guess 4 hours ago.
Which one?
The Dan Hoffner.
Did you not see? Like,
no.
No, man. It's news. I think
it's real.
This
goes to some ugly places to get his news from.
You have to dig. Like, you have to. Sometimes someone's got to wade through the shit to find stuff that's interesting.
Don't you even dare say you fucking love it. You absolutely fucking love it. You can hear it in your voice.
I love it.
You are so excited.
I'm waiting through this shit, but I can't wait to get into
when
it.
You find a diamond. When you find a diamond.
It's one of those tip divers. He goes down the tips, and he's like, "Oh yes, what gem?"
Yeah, just
look what
love
you've all done to KaiKer. He's smashing the studio up, all in the name of a Christmas hat.
Well, like, this is not that type of stream, Kai. We start going the stream
down straight away.
It's not
Crack kills, Kai. Crack kills.
All of it.
Right. Okay. So don't worry. The first 20 minutes were me trying to figure out my audio. So don't worry, you didn't miss anything. The first topic has been, for anyone that's just joining in now on YouTube, or whatever. The first topic is basically what's happened is there is an investor in CIG. This has officially come from the latest, because in the UK they have to file reports and stuff. There is a Daniel Officer, entertainment industry top lawyer, Offner. Is it Offner? Is that how you say it? Offner?
Yeah,
Daniel Offner.
Daniel Offner.
Yeah, searching. He's an entertainment industry lawyer. He basically an investor. He's involved in such investment processes as Oculus Rift and billionaire sell to Facebook, and you said a few others as well, Paul. That he worked at.
Yeah, he was counsel for pretty much every major. Looking at his
there's a LinkedIn profile to him as well. I have all.
Yeah, his OA. He's worked with.
My earlier claim has horrendously backfired. Apparently, the cats have had at the decorations, the lights on my head. They don't work. Sorry about that, guys.
It's alright.
He worked for the council for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for the and Eric Carl, who's the author, the illustrator for the Very Hungry Caterpillar. He worked on like artist rights when his early career, and then he started working for computer companies. He worked for THQ, Ubisoft, Konami, Eidos, Sony Computers, Sony, on computer entertainment, Warner Music, Gameloft, Emergent Game Technologies, Tryon, and helped acquire Red Storm for Ubisoft. He also was the one who negotiated the deal between Sci-Fi Channel and Tryon's. What was the game? Defiance. The Defiance was negotiated. He negotiated that deal.
Interesting.
Which was created by Alcon, which is the same company that makes the Expanse TV series.
Yeah. He's now a director, by the way. So basically, he's now been given a director status, which is interesting.
It's probably a director status, and status is like a director of
law.
Well, he might be like a law person, but it sounds like he's helped working with Oculus, Blue Heron, looking at some of his other things.
He's like one of those. He'll be connecting shit and putting things together and helping people and making sure that shit's correct. Yeah. And if anything goes wrong, no one will know to fuck with them. Yeah,
he's called an angel investor. The angel investors, if I remember the term correctly, is someone who is putting money in without expectation of money getting back.
Yeah.
Because they know that.
Bit like all of us, really. Bit like all of us. We're all angel kind of investors because we don't expect to get anything back besides play the game.
The angel investors they do get something back. They get convertible debt or ownership equity, so he could get part ownership of the company.
I really wanted you to say hookers and blow then. I really didn't want you to go down there. I just really want...
Or hugs. He just gets hugs.
He gets a couple javelins, maybe...
Any fucking ship you want. Any ship.
I think even 25 million investment, he pretty much owns every ship that they've made and future ships.
You want his ship? You want his ship? You can
he
have
hasn't
his
got concierge card.
He's a director. He may be on the board of directors in terms of the board. If
he'll be on the board.
That may be the issue.
Yeah, he's on the board. There's no question. With that kind of investment,
as a teacher of economics and personal finance, it just means that he owns part of the company.
Yeah, but the thing is he won't be alone.
Million, you should own a little chunk of it.
No, but he won't. Yeah, but he won't be alone in that. And if he's one, there'll be like I said, like if this is the first one that's kind of coming out of the closet, as they would say, there's a couple others for sure. I don't know how many
investors. They don't all open
there's a
up
couple
to,
others.
to saying.
Yes, Macker. They did say they're asking about like how much he owes. I think
23
it's
million.
million.
23 million. 25, but whatever.
23 million is what he
roughly
specifically into the UK studio, because the UK studio is the only place that UK studios are the only place that report by law.
Yeah.
Frankfurt and the United States studios do not report by
illegal.
law.
It's all under the table there.
That's where.
It's important to remember that they'll shift assets back and forth between the various companies. It's and multinational corporations do this all the time to either avoid taxes or as a means to try to get the companies liquid so that they're not being like for instance, the UK may cost a lot more money to run than Austin. So Austin may have a lot more money coming into it, but they need to convert that assets to UK so they can pay for people to work or just buy coffee.
We know the UK gets like a grant for and stuff as well. So
yes,
so there's different reasons for having their companies in different places as well.
So the UK reports are always good because you get a good insight in what's going on, but at the same time you have to understand it's only like a small crack through the window compared to what's actually going on in these companies.
Well,
and I guarantee you they have accountants.
I've actually got a question about America versus UK structure. So there's two types of shareholder within a UK business, and it's either a company shareholder as in ownership or a shareholder who receives a dividends or trades shares publicly in order to make profit.
Both of those are true in the United States. We call them, it's called corporate stock, and owning corporate stock versus owning preferred stock. Preferred stock is you do not own the company, but you get first dibs on dividends compared to the corporate stock. But the corporate stock you get you get last dividends per year, but you also get ownership. shares.
If you know what, if we're gonna have this conversation, I should give my hat to my wife. She's an investment banker, and she could probably answer this question.
I mean, you could ask if your wife is an investment banker,
She
you could ask her this situation. She'd probably tell you right off the bat what's going on.
She has. She
She
constantly
would
tells me
if
it's
you
a
give a
scam.
shit about Star
She
Citizen.
constantly tells me it's a scam.
Well,
Lady Madness, where should I send my money?
She constantly tells me it's a scam. So.
Not Star Citizen. That's what she would say.
Sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
I mean, when
This is
man
why-
posted his total spend so far, it's like that is not a wise investment, my friend. You're sitting there with an 8-year-old PC that can't stream, and you're sitting there with lots of digital pixels. She's looking at you going, no.
But what? But
Madness,
what
do you buy your
pixels?
ships through like 3 different PayPal accounts? Like you transfer it through 3 different PayPal accounts, so she can't trace it.
He totally does.
I have to now.
That face.
I have to now. Do now. It's okay. It's okay.
He's also
okay.
notice how he's trying to be careful what he actually says out loud because she's in the same room. It's like
Anyway.
Someone's just staring at me
so-
like she's gonna eat me.
So yeah, okay. So that was
Yeah.
the first. That's the first kind of interesting thing that I thought, which is quite an interesting thing. I mean, in terms of potentially where CRG is going to go, and I think we're going to see more of this as we go along over the next couple of years. Because obviously, Squadron 42 will be out. We'll see big returns potentially because that game will most likely be the best PC game for years and years of us as a standalone PC game, because that's what this is. So I expect lots of more of this stuff to come out and more things to go on.
I'll probably invest at least 30 million.
Yeah.
Next year, some point. Yeah.
Well, the way to do it is I think it's important to be aware of these things, because like the things that happen with other gaming companies, they get bought out, they get moved, things change. So you just got to just don't think bad, but just be aware. It's like one of those things. Just educate yourself and just be aware, and maybe it might hold you back on some things where you think, well, maybe actually I won't put my money into it. But like Eve just got sold to a Korean company. Everyone flipped out and lost their shit about it.
The same company that owns Black Desert Online.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's shit does happen like that, and especially if CRG was to float it, all sorts of crazy things could happen. So who knows? Just
You know what they call me in the office is CIG, right? Tyrael. Totally, Tyrael. If you don't get that joke, then I'm leaving now. If not one of you gets that joke. God damn it!
It was nice having you on for a little bit, anyway.
I hope you enjoyed your brief stint the first time on the Asylum. Well done. It was...
I thought you were cultured gentlemen. Cultured gentlemen, and none of you are.
I live in Texas. I live in Texas. That's all I gotta say.
Diablo. Jesus.
Yeah, I never played Diablo.
Get it? No, it doesn't matter.
But now if I ever play Diablo, I'll get it. I'll be like, oh my god, that's what he meant. That was hilarious. Right, moving on. On the Carrick, the bullshit that everyone's been going on about with everyone, like, what the hell was that all about? Why did everyone lose their shit about the Carrick going to the original size, or even the original size, 2 meters bigger?
Okay.
Why?
Let me put it in a way that you understand. A little bit madness.
Please don't.
Size matters to these people. They want their giant spaceship penis to be floating around in space, so they can be like, I'm fucking the space. That's literally the reason why. It's the only reason why. They want a giant e-penis. That's the Star Trek Enterprise.
They want it for $400 is what they want, because they don't want to have to pay the one on $1,500 or whatever it is, or $3,000 for the Javelin to do that. They want to be able to do it for $400.
Yes.
And that
they're cheap. They're cheap, but they want a big penis. That's the reason why.
Exactly.
I'm so glad because that's what I thought it was. I thought it was missing something really obvious.
That's a major part of it, but there is a slight other view of it, which is probably in the minority, but I know a couple of people have said that it's that they said when they were building it and they scaled it up, they said to fit everything into it that they wanted, it grew to 170, and then all of a sudden it magically grows back down to 125. So, well, what did you take out, or what have you compromised with to be able to shrink it back down again? Because if it grew that big to put the stuff that you wanted in, it's losing stuff to bring it back down again. I think is kind of
hallways was one of the things that it's lost.
But I love my hallways. Who doesn't want hallways fucking everywhere? I mean, Star Citizen is about walking places constantly.
If you've already spent 20 minutes getting from Lowville, Hurston to your location to then get on your ship and have to go another 120, 200 meters to the end of the other end of the ship.
If you're quantum jumping to a planet, then it's taking you 20 minutes. You want some fucking corridors to walk down. There's no point getting to the back end of your ship in 5 minutes because there's no hallways. You need that long shit.
No, you don't. You just don't. You just don't. You absolutely don't. You really don't. And also, here's the other thing I look at it is I was looking at it like in ships in real life. Like if you look at the ships that do exploration like on the sea, I don't ever see them being like the size of oil tankers. Do you know what I mean? They ain't, unless someone can point one out for me, but I've never really seen an exploration vehicle the size like bigger than the oil tankers and these transport things. They don't. They tend to be fairly good size, but fairly nimble, and they have what they need. You know, they have their little submarine on the back, and they do a few other things. That's about it, really. There's not.
I think it's effectiveness versus luxury. Plus, then it's that threshold between how much realism do you want in a computer game versus how much realism is too much realism. So I can get what you're saying. It's like when you have an exploration ship, everybody's stacked on top of each other. So because space is a commodity, but at the same time,
space is
I see
huge.
I see what Miz is saying with the corridors. Yeah, pretty fucking big out there. Don't get me wrong, but I like the fact that there was such a big hoot over restructuring the size of the bathroom. It's like,
oh, dude, don't. The toilet's a serious thing in Star Citizen. It is like the most important.
I didn't realize it was such a thing to have such a luxuriously large.
But you have such a massive ship, and then there's still you have a massive shit in the bathroom. And you have a massive ship, and yet still the bedrooms are tiny little boxes. Well, no, they're actually shared bunk beds. It's a bit like the Starfarer. You got all this room, and then the actual sleeping quarters is just a row of bunk beds.
But that ties into what Madness was saying, and it makes sense. The fact that if you're going to be moving from A to B in space, you're going to try and optimize storage, and that even includes the crew. So you're going to, unless you're like a high-ranking officer, you're going to stack them up like. Well, you're fine. Your room's fine. You got that sweet double bedroom with the sweeping arcs in the underside of the 600i. You know, the one where your forehead gets stuck in the ceiling.
That's what the 890 jumps for. See, this is the thing. This is what I was trying to understand. This is the difference between understanding what a military exploration vehicle is and a luxury exploration vehicle is. There's a fundamental difference. A luxury, is spacious and it has wastes of space, and you've got a big bed and a jacuzzi and half-naked women wherever you want, whatever aliens you want. You know, it's meant to be done in luxury. It's the Jeremy Clarkson's idea of exploration, where it's just easy and it's lovely, and you can pop a champagne at the end of it and be like, woo! But you're not topping it in freezing cold, military, with nothing. You're kind of maybe with a little plastic cup. You've got, glass cup, chandeliers, whatever. It's glorious. That's the whole point of it. And it's massive, and it's not meant to be practical. Whereas the Carrack is supposed to be get in, get dirty, get it done. Your mates wiping the floors, with the, that's the way it's meant to be done. Whereas the
basically it's a submarine, isn't it? Let's face it.
Pretty much.
What spaceships are. They're submarines. And if you look at combat-based submarines, they're always really restricted. In like old submarines, the beds would literally be a hammock that you would pull out. And it's like, okay, well, you sleep here. It's like, it's not exactly comfortable, but just deal with it. You can sleep outside if you want, but it's a bit wet.
But and the thing is I think people don't get it. I think, like I said, honestly people want a Javelin for $400 because and I think they want to have this huge ship for $400 if that's one of the things. And I just don't get it
for $24.
Well, yeah, but I think that's what they want it. They want it if they can do. If they can get the biggest ship for the cheapest amount of money, they'll be happy with it. Like I said, like Paul, you said it. I think I asked you this question before on the thing because I was playing devil's advocate on the other side at that moment. But I was very clear. I'm very clearly on the side that I don't think it's an issue. I think you very clearly explained why the ship, the price it is and why it went up. You said at the end of the day the ship isn't ready. Now once it's flight ready, it goes up. Prices of ships go up. Yeah. And it's two, and you said
there are 3 stages.
It's bigger. It is bigger by 2
years. Yeah, there's 3 stages, if not 4. There's actually a 4th stage we haven't hit yet. The 3 stages are: first stage is concept, second stage is usually when it's out of gray box and out of white box and gray box towards flight ready. That hasn't really happened in a while though, because they usually kind of just jump. A lot of them just jump from concept to release now. The third stage is flight ready, just like the freelancers jumped in price a little bit. The variants did because they became flight ready. And the fourth stage is probably beta. They've talked about how the closer it gets to release, the more expensive it's going to become. I wouldn't doubt that come beta, the only ships that will be affordable for new players are the starter packs. And I wouldn't doubt something like the Cutlass being $200 for around beta, because at that point it's a premium. It's like, you want to start with a little bit bigger ship and you want something better, cool, $200. And to be fair, it's rewarding people who jumped in early rather than people who want to jump in when it's the new hotness. Because by beta, it'll be done mechanically. So
you know, the problem with that is their attitude though has not shown that in terms of rewarding all backers versus new backers. Do you know what I mean?
So far,
yeah. At the moment,
it has, but it hasn't. It's because they've been favoring new backers for things like LTI and stuff like that. Yeah. But that was the original plan. That's the reason why. Yeah, no, and I still think that it will be the plan, because it'll still make more money.
What if you if you ignore pricing structure alone and just sort of put that in a bubble over out the way, the concept of awarding those people that jump on early, it's always, from my experience with development companies, it's always really awkward making sure to give those people that were there first something as a thank you for taking the chance at the start, while simultaneously awarding and enticing people that come on later down the line. I've seen it in like a number of games, and had a conversation with a number of people about, like, behind the scenes about how it's really difficult to say, okay, you were the original backers and we appreciate it, but you 1,000, let's say hypothetical numbers, you 1,000 people, we are so grateful that you were there and you took the chance, and we want to give you something for it, but at the same time, we cannot make this and run this company with just you 1,000. We still need to encourage those other 99,000 people to come on. And striking that balance is, like, it's fundamentally one of the most challenging things from a sort of, I think, from a commercial perspective when addressing a customer for a company that works through that early access style approach like this.
Well,
I 100% agree.
They did. I mean, they did a bit. They done a few things, I would say, with that one. Is one, they allowed people to do buybacks. They did all the buyback tokens. They did the CCUing, enabling them to be able to upgrade the ships. They also gave them ships at a discount. They gave them starter packs at a discount compared to what the ships have become. A lot of the ships that you could buy at the early days were considerably cheaper to what they are now. Some of them, I think, have gone up quite a lot. So they did do a few things like that. There was also lots of other sneaky bits and hanger flares and little things that they got that I certainly haven't been able to get. I think Paul's got something he was going to give away the other day on his one, which is super rare, or there was something that no one else could get unless it was an old.
If it's that bloody Hello Kitty ship, or
no. It was something. It was something else. It was super rare. You were talking about it.
Way around it. I have a saber.
There was some other, but you were talking. I can't remember what it was, but there was like,
Raven.
Oh no, it wasn't Saber Raven. It was something you were talking about. Some like either it was a hanger flare or it was, I can't remember honestly, dude. Sorry, but I remember you mentioned it. It was an upgrade kit or something like that. It was an upgrade kit. That was it, like the F7As and
the
things
F7A
like that.
upgrade kit. I had that, which was nothing. It was $25.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's $20. During Veterans Day 2015, I want to say 2014.
Yeah.
They sold like 1,000 of them, and I was able to grab one.
Yeah.
And you can't find them ever. They don't exist anymore, and they're rare because in some cases they're just cosmetic. In some cases they seem to be like an actual overhaul where they essentially become an F7A. So it depends on who, what they are. But that, for instance, super rare. You can only get it if you were there at the time. So, and they have something like that as well. Like the Saber Raven's a good example. The Mustang Omega.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Omega.
Yeah. The Omega stuff, and there's a few of those little things, but yeah, I mean, they've done that, and I think they've already kind of done a little bit, but yeah.
Every time Paul says Saber, my ears kick off into some dodgy, like 1980s Bomb Chicka Wow Wow music. That shit.
You love that shit.
And the glaive. That's like Who needs anything else?
He's gonna like. You'll like my hanger then, because I got the saber and a glaive the other day. I just got my glaive for the first time, which I love. Do you know what's so funny? I finally CIG. They did such a great job. I did say on Paul's that I don't think Paul realized actually for my original thing that I was talking about. I was talking about me actually. I didn't think you realized when I was writing my statements.
No, I totally didn't know that. You didn't plaster it all over Twitter and tell me directly several times.
No, never. Would never do such a thing. But
no.
But they did a great job. They sorted me out, and I now have a glaive, which I'm really, really, really happy about. I had to make a choice actually between. I've still got the CCU for my Aquila to a Carrack, but I chose to go for the glaive instead of the Carrack because I was like, that's the gameplay that I'm doing. So I was like, well, may as well stick with that. I'm not really doing that, and I can always get an Aquila later.
Are you two all right with extortion?
Extortion, maybe.
Is there anything you two want? Trying to get on.
Unfortunately, it's not giftable because it's on my Citizen Con prize. I can't melt it. I can't go backwards. I can only go one way.
And my F7A, my F7A is gone. I had one and then I gave it away. I gave it away when I reached a certain number of subs. It was like either that or my partnership. I think it was my partner.
For $20, for $20, he made his money back though. I'd have thought for you on subs.
Oh yeah.
He's like, yep.
I also had one of the original Weekend Warrior packages, which was the LTI Super Hornets, which you can't get anymore. There's no such thing as LTI Super Hornets. You can't buy them with LTI. And I think the LTI to a degree is also still kind of a
actually, I can say
an early backer thing, because especially for like LTI packages, there's really only two that have existed. One of which was the Arrow, and the other one was the 100i. But then you'd have to click cross chassis upgrade the actual ship to something else. That would be the only way you could get the package. Yeah. So there's lots of cool things that they've done in the past which they don't offer anymore. Physical copies, they've done that kind of stuff. So. To a degree, I understand like the argument that they kind of CIG's kind of screwed over older backers to a degree, but at the same time, CIG's also bent over backwards with a lot of the older backers doing a lot of stuff that no other company would do.
It is a shit line to walk.
It is
probably the same. You've seen it from both sides, and it's just horrendous seeing people who catch flack as well that it isn't anything to do with them decision-wise. When it comes to making those decisions, but everybody sees the word dev over someone's name and whatever company's associated dev tag it is, and they automatically become the funnel for all of the issues someone has. Nobody ever turns around and goes, oh, by the way, I really like X, Y, and Z. No, it's like everything that I've ever disliked about this, I've listed it all out in preparation for the one day that I managed to get to speak to a dev. You do what? You make the I don't care if you make the coffee, mate. You're listening to my list.
No, you're right though. This is true. They do, like, the minute that there's a CIG name in anyone's Twitch channel, they suddenly unless people know what they do. Usually, we're all pretty quick to tell them when someone starts asking the question. They go, "Christian does the elevators, mate. That's what he does. That's all he does. He just does the elevators." Okay. There's a couple guys in another department that
also
do
the trains.
Oh,
he likes trains.
Oh, and he does trains as well.
Yeah.
So that's what he does, and he likes watching Twitch a lot. So that's kind of like pretty much his bag. So you ask him questions about other things he won't really know.
Now I will say, if you see CIG Luke CIG, he does most of the gameplay. So if you want to complain about gameplay, that's the man you want to get complained to. He won't respond to you if you complain, though.
Is he?
He will not respond to you if you complain.
No. Does he? Does Luke? Is he working with Tony then?
He does. Luke does live gameplay in the UK. So he's like, I think.
Is he doing the? So he's doing the AI, like subsumption, or is that just?
No,
Tony?
he does he just does things like specific gameplay aspects. Like Luke was the guy who created all the aspects around SBK, like all of the the little interactions and stuff like that. He does like the stuff that makes the game fun. That's what Luke's in charge of.
This game isn't fun.
So he gets all of his stuff removed then from the game as well. So he's the most grumpiest member of staff. Why do they keep taking the bits that I keep adding that are fun away, like the whiskey in SPK? Could you imagine how many people would be going back to get that 1,000k bottles of whiskey every time still at SPK?
Not with 3.4, man. Not with 3.4. 3.4, you cough left like to the side, you get a 1K. for the money.
Oh, it's true. You're right. Actually, I forgot about that now. Yeah, all the missions.
Missions have totally
They
went to do FPS missions are now the most valuable missions because they're worth 7,000 to do one mission.
Yeah, I've heard about.
Yeah,
I've seen everyone
be able to
doing
buy a ship then.
Yeah.
So they've turned. So basically, the game is now about being on
But
foot.
is that going to get tweaked down
Not
when it
in
goes
not in a
live
space.
servers,
Not
though?
really in a space.
Like, is this just so you can be tested during the beta? Not the beta.
It's the best way to test a mechanic, though, isn't it? If you make that's what you do is you starve out all of the missions currency-wise, so nobody's getting any money. And then when you bring in a feature you want testing, you throw all of the cash reward into that, and everybody dogpiles on it and blows each other up.
Well, there's a bit like I was saying when they first implemented the purchase of ships. It's like, oh, they put it in. No, they haven't, because there's no way to make that much money. They just pretend they put it in, put a ship in with a ludicrous value, and say, go on and purchase it with your 1 credit a day.
I can't wait to see what I really can't wait to see. You know, when they put ship recovery in for the destroyed ships. So obviously they want to test that mechanic thoroughly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bets now. How do you think they're gonna encourage people to blow each other? That's what I want to know, because they're gonna want to test this thoroughly. Obviously,
they don't need to encourage. I mean, some people crash.
Yeah, but I mean, how are they gonna? Because you're gonna have a hotspot, like Jump Town. Jump Town is at the moment, if you're gonna do recovery, it's the current situation. It's the go-to spot, isn't it? If you're ships up.
That's what Luke's job is. I was gonna say, it was like, well, Luke, like that, he made SPK. Luke was the guy who created SPK, not SPK, but he created all of the loops around it because he was watching Twitch streamers, he was watching YouTubers, and he saw where people were gathering, and he decided to encourage more of that. And like as Asnog was saying in chat, like right now, he was looking at streamers talking about adding new missions and fixing other missions and trying to work things out. So. If there's one thing I can trust, I trust in Luke to figure out what people are going to be doing or where the hotspots are.
No, it's not that. What I mean is, what are your bets personally? How do you think? It's a question
for salvage.
How do you think they're going to encourage?
By fixing the flight model and combat. If you fix, here's the thing. Okay, there was somebody was talking on Reddit, and they were talking about. I've got the note somewhere on here, but they were talking about how. What were they saying about Lawville and the game? If there's some bounty hunter missions, I'm excited about that. In-game trading, no, that wasn't it. We need new ships. Oh yeah, here we go. New ships, manufacturers like freelancers and the Cutlass. This guy was saying how we need more of these type of ships to encourage kind of gameplay and stuff, and how everything is single seater. He says CRG is constantly releasing new single seater fighters. The number of them is gigantic in the game already. But when I play the game, the majority of ships I saw over there are freelancers and Cutlass. Sometimes a bigger ship, and there's very rare moments anyone playing. He says very rare moments anyone is playing the smaller seater fighters. The reason for that, mate, is because the flight model sucks ass, and all those pilots that are combat pilots are all sat at home waiting for 3.4 new 3.5's new flight model. When that comes in, I guarantee your ass is going to be toasty, because there's going to be a shit ton of us blowing you up. So enjoy it whilst you can. Is that simple? Okay, seriously, it's that simple.
There's no coincidence that they bring in paid escorts around about the same time. Let's face it, is there?
The other thing to look at is that if you're going to Jump Town to make money, I'm not showing up in a Hornet. I can't trade in a Hornet.
Yes.
If I'm going to sell drugs, I'm going to load my ship up with drugs to sell.
There's other places you can store drugs. You don't need to put it in the ship.
It's like saying I'm gonna pop off to the local like meth lab with a bicycle. Yeah. And just be like, okay, I'm just gonna load my saddlebags up with meth. Like,
top it up, mate. Top it up.
Yeah. You don't show up to the meth lab in an F-16 and be like, put it in the back. You show up with a truck, and that's what the freelancer is.
Something's a truck.
Hey,
and then go, think about this today.
I definitely think they need to, like Formula, like sports cars, or they need to have just a little bag you can just stick in, just slot under the seat. You know what I mean? In a Hornet, just a glove box, just a little one, so you can carry just like one CU.
The Buccaneer
of drugs.
The Buccaneer has like half a CU, and what it is you go around, you'll see these things that say emergency supplies that are flaps. You're eventually supposed to be able to open them up and stuff in there. It says like
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Just me walking into Jumptown, like really skinny, and then walking out with my pants really bulging.
Couple coat over the top.
Just squeezing.
I have no idea what you're talking about, officer.
So what you're saying is the problem isn't going to be creating an individual location, because this was my issue, is like, where are the people going to go and how are they going to know to go there in order to collect debris? What you're saying is everything is going to be fucked everywhere. So you're literally just going to step out the door and be like, oh, I'll have that, thanks very much.
There's a wreck.
I
mean, they could just make a racetrack and make you fly through little tiny hoops, because that'll give you a
It's in flares.
It's going to be wrecks.
Say,
There's wrecks everywhere already. Look at Port Olisar. How many dead ships are just floating around Olisar?
Look, I was having a bad day.
You're also going to see, if you look around, what is it? If you look around Hurston, they already have wrecks of space stations, which they've been testing their weapons on for, I guess, 30 years or so.
But didn't they say those are going to be lower yield, though, compared to...
They will be
they've been stripped out,
Yeah, but will be a place where you go. It's like the difference between doing trading missions and actually going to Jumptown or to places where you can buy commodities and sell them. It'll be easier to do that than it will be to go to, say, SPK and start, making bank off of wrecks there.
I mean, realistically, they don't struggle to get people to test a mechanic, mostly. Like, if there's mining, people get together and manage to find places to mine. If it's going to be salvaging, there'll be places. Like, I mean, it's not going to be that difficult probably to find wrecks and go and salvage it, I think. It's just going to be just like you said, just sit at Port Olisar for 5 minutes.
Isn't there an expansion of the radar system then as well? Because I think that will also help.
I think there's going to be other things you can scan differently,
Yeah.
3.4.
But I mean, it's
quite a lot far down the list, I think.
Adding the ability, it depends. Improvements. So I haven't added everything, but if there is, there may be. I don't know, Paul. I haven't added everything. I've added just a few little key.
It's in 3.6. 3.6 is when they're doing the ping and scanning improvements.
The 3.5 is what I meant. Sorry, I'm a moron.
Yeah. Okay, so that was kind of interesting. I just thought that was quite. It's always fun reading people and kind of things, and I'm always just kind of going, "You haven't got a clue, pal. You're gonna get your ass chewed up."
Going
got a clue.
Back for 1 second.
Enjoy it. Go for it.
On that ping and scanning improvements,
Yeah,
is there any further information that any of you have on that? What I want is, I'm really looking forward to the ability to mark your own custom locations on maps. So, for example, with Jumptown, I don't have to approach it for Grimhex and wait till the moon is perfectly aligned and Robbie Williams has just released a new single and the Dow Jones is down and I managed to get some in order to be able to find the damn location.
And then you find it and blow up.
Exactly.
Hey, if I can now figure out how to get there first time out the bag, night and day, anyone can do it. I can do both. Anyone could. I can do both. You can do it.
I feel like they're not going to do the map system quite yet. I think what they're going to be doing with the ping system is they're going to get rid of the passive radar that we have now and go with more. The passive radar is going to work. Well, there's still passive radar, but it's going to work differently than just like flick target. You'll see different ratios, like further away, you'll be able to see a target, but it'll be kind of like what we see now, where it's kind of fuzzy. And then you can actively ping to get a better idea. So passive maybe
sci-fi lidar, basically. I like that. I like that a lot because I don't feel like you can really do stealth play at the moment. You can't. You can turn everything off to try and not appear, but
you can still show up
because you're ahead and then you're invisible.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. And I think that's what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to make, and they'd also want to improve things like they want to encourage players to put in that blade that's going to improve their scanning radius for some reason, or to buy the the Hornet tracker or the like some sort of tracking system.
Yeah, it's another reason to make certain ships more specific and allowing them to have their purpose, as well as component upgrades as well. Because I mean, obviously, we've got the first iteration now of buying ships. The next thing will be buying those sort of. I mean, we can get some upgrades, but like those things that are not working yet, getting the upgrades for those as well. So being able to make your ship more versatile, or at least perform better in those sort of things. So. Yeah, they're going to have to do something to change the scanning system to allow that.
I need to see it to really understand it properly. So
think of it this way: if you're just scanning with your own eyes at a distance, could you make out shapes at a certain point? Probably not. But as you get closer, you'll be able to like register some things, but you'll have to be looking at them in order to do so. So passive radar or passive scanning will be more like if you're close enough and your systems work, it will pop up that, hey, this thing is near, like on your like radar screen, but you won't be able to figure out where it is. You'll have to actively ping to have that little box show up that we have in long range.
That would be useful in terms of, I guess, then obviously for when you come to a planet, like in the old days, like you wouldn't know if something's on the back side of the planet versus the front side of the planet. You know, you'd only ever know what's in front of the front side unless you pinged, and then you could indicate what's behind it. I mean, you'd be able to you could dial up the ping so you could go further away. So you do bigger ping, and it'd take you a lot longer to potentially come back. So you'd have to sit there for a bit of time waiting for it to come back. Okay.
Yeah, and for heavier stuff, like if you're dealing with like a tracker would be able to see passively and actively much further. And the advantage of like long term with the planning to do things like, hey, the tracker is part of the squadron can then link all of their tracker data to the tracker, and the Hornet tracker can then filter out all the data to be like, that's an enemy, that's an enemy, that's an enemy, that's an enemy. We don't know what the fuck that is. So
when they've got the comms, like the relay systems, like the tactical, like the Hammerhead, for example, the tactical information center, isn't it? So that you can feed all the information into that and actually do something more useful. Because at the moment, it just looks pretty as fuck at it, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Much point to it. The other thing is camera view, then, because that obviously F4 camera view, spin around, look behind you and whatnot. It looks awfully beautiful and very sexy, but it kind of feels a little bit like potentially it's just going to be third person peeking. So I'm guessing at some point they're going to strip out the ability to see something when they rework the passive radar. Something isn't going to show up when you press F4 and look behind yourself unless you've painted it so that you can see it. I'm hoping, because otherwise that's going to be like, you're literally, if you want to ambush someone, you sit behind a rock in an asteroid field with all of your engines off. Yeah. And just third person peek around the asteroid.
Yeah, and you may have like an active, something like a
probe.
A probe or a herald that's just kind of shut down to passive, but it can, because it's got a better system for detecting that, it can then link into all the other ships which are currently waiting around an asteroid belt, and then suddenly, hey, this freelancer and a Hornet show up. Let's turn all our engines on, and suddenly we know where they are, and they don't know that we're here until it's too late. That kind of gameplay. It's the gameplay that even Chris kind of likes anyways. Just watched Wing Commander, the movie. That's exactly what happened in Wing Commander movie.
I can't wait.
It even happened in the Squadron 42 trailer. The initial pitch trailer had that with the sights powered down behind asteroids and then showing up.
Like their ambushes.
Just like, Squadron of Hornets going through an asteroid, and they're just like,
you've got like all these asteroids, and they choose to fly past that one.
It's a trap.
Just don't. No.
It's just clever Van Dorn knowing exactly the right place to be.
It is. It's the trick is to never let your opponent realize that you know where you're going to be, because you've made them go.
Don't fly straight. That's why I'm always up, down, all over the place. You don't fly in a straight line.
Totally.
That's
totally.
That's not through choice, though, Miss. That's
nothing to do with curves or anything, though. No,
that's nothing to do with skill either. That's just wow. So we'll ignore my kind of random thing about the monkey nano suit unless people really want to talk about it. We'll talk about that another time.
It looks cool, but it's Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah, it's not happening, StarCitizen.
Okay,
it's cool.
The reason why the Beyond Good and Evil 2 nano suit that I really like, and I would love them to do it, is I'd love them to give it to the Banu. because in my head it makes sense that the Banu would have it, because if you see the way they dress and the clothes and the style and stuff, I just feel like they would be if all the races, the alien races, because I know that the genre, like we've seen them in armor, they wore in armor, the turtles, it makes sense to have armor, their shell, it just makes fucking sense. But the Banu are kind of tradey, and they like their flowing garments and they like their kind of flow and stuff. So I feel like they could be like a mixture, a part armor or spacesuit / kind of a piece of shielding that goes over their clothing, so you still get all their clothing, but you still get a sense of their style and flow and stuff. I just feel that they are a little bit more special, and that would make sense to me that the Banu would have it. Now maybe we can't have it ourselves as humans, it's just the Banu, it's a technology they don't sell because maybe they just want to keep it, but then the Banu like to make money, so I'm like, maybe they would sell it.
Yeah.
Vandal hydraulic combat suits.
But if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. So I'll just.
I could see something like that as like a helmet or as an accessory, but I also could see that as being very race specific.
It's almost like a cheap way of doing a spacesuit. It's just like, oh, instead of explaining and animating and getting a costume for them to have a spacesuit, we'll just give them this shimmer.
Well, they said in the thing, they said it's not. They said in the thing it's not as good as they want it to be in terms of visuals. They did say that it's not exactly where they want it to be, but in terms of the ability, like, I don't know if I've got a better close-up view of it. Hang on, to see if there's one more at the end. No, it was just at the beginning. But what I like about this is I wouldn't necessarily mean that this is a really good armor. I don't think this should be able to take like good rounds. Like I think a couple rounds, you're dead. You're dead. It's like basically
it's a freedom of movement thing, isn't it? Rather than a protection thing. Yeah. It's so that you can do something that requires agility where you wouldn't necessarily be able to do it inside a full plate suit.
Exactly. It's nothing. It's not. It's just.
It's a little too futuristic for Star Citizen, because one of the big things you got to remember about Star Citizen and their art style is Blade Runner and Aliens.
Yeah,
Blade Runner and Aliens. That's their big thing, and like the Xi'an are heavily inspired by Flight of the Navigator and Last Starfighter and those kind of things. The Banu are more, I would say, Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of their aesthetic, that kind of gritty punk, aesthetic. And then Xi'an the Vandul are straight up like space Klingons. Yeah, like that kind of like the trying to forget the name of them from Stargate. The Gould, Jaffa, like the Jaffa, or
we've got floating panels, miss. We've got the Nox has got floating bits of technology and grav plates.
It is,
but it's the closest thing that would be to that would be more of a field that is a bubble around an individual. Say if you got dropped out of an airlock and you deploy a defensive bubble which has a short lifespan.
What do you mean, like them globe things that you go on the water on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it can take a laser shot or a ballistic round rather than one of those bubbles that just
hamster wheel. Loads of people.
An air
too much fun.
A Tavaran air shield.
That's way too much.
I could see something like that as like with Tavaran, because the Tavaran do have an air shield technology, which is what makes like.
I want to see Vandal combat suits that aren't just like, because obviously they're really fluid. Looking at the videos, actually, if any of you I'm after some Vandal audio samples. Don't let me forget. I'm desperately trying to get them not inside a video, but we'll come back to that. But Vandal combat suits, because it makes sense to me that they're obviously battle prowess focused. Why? And they've already got like high mobility and agility. If you take one of those and then you put them in a suit that's like a hydraulic suit that boosts combat even further, you could go from like standard Vandal to like suit. And high like a high mobility would be like the recon equivalent. Could you imagine being like a Vandal and you're on the planet, like the surface of a planet or a moon or something? It's already got low gravity anyway. They already jump quite far. You put them in an exosuit, they're just gonna bound across. They just look like, I don't know what they look like. Gazelle.
Just all leap, but then all of a sudden they don't come back down again.
What the?
Yeah, you overshot, mate. No idea.
I'm just.
How amazing would that be?
I'm
sorry, a little bit of a Vandal.
I'm just getting like a. I think there's a comedian. I can't remember his name. he kicks a ball or something, and he has it. I think people are doing loads of fancy moves or something like with the football, and then he just boots it miles over the fence or something. I can't remember what his name is. He's a British comedian, but anyway, that would be my scenario with the Vandal. Everyone else would be terrified of these going on, and you just give them a good swift boot, and they go flying over the hills and far away. Yeah, I'd be kind of cool.
That's Teletubbies. That's different.
Teletubbies, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I don't know. The Vandal, I think people are saying in chat, I don't think they have armor.
Wouldn't wear the suits. They would.
Yeah.
They would. They would so
some-
different, specialized. That's like saying they wouldn't have spaceships because
they'd have something.
technology.
They'd
They'd have very ritualistic when dealing
why
with
wouldn't they have
discretions and
spaceships?
things. They would have like I think ritualistic nudity and outfits in that respect. But I think if it comes to a combat environment, they're definitely going to have combat enhancement. But it's going to be
Had madness and nudity.
to get
Yeah,
close.
Sold.
Up close.
I don't agree. I'm not completely sold, but maybe not Vandal nudity. But we'll move on.
Miz is not getting naked again.
Yeah.
Not again.
Okay, so we have in the Reddit section. So that was just the random section. Okay, that wasn't even like the main section. That was actually no. Hang on, wait. One more thing. Ship customization. Ship customization. This is another game called Beyond Good. Like this is using a basic chassis, and then obviously you can alter the look and the feel of the ship a little bit. Now I wonder, like now again, this is a little bit, and wait, but I know what you're gonna say. I already know what he's gonna say. I already look at it. He's already know.
I'm actually gonna say if you like this, you should check out Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. It's very similar.
But now, I'm not expecting, and I certainly don't expect StarCitizen to be able to do the same degree of this customization. However, I would like to have a little bit of this in some way, some more bits added on and
in some ways it's kind of what I expected when they said you would have like modular. So like in the Avenger when you can put like the bounty hunter module in or something like that, that's kind of what I expected you to be able to do. Go into like a shop and then select the module that you want to stick in back, and then it'll replace it. I suppose the same with like the caterpillar modules and stuff. You could go in and switch.
I saw it more like a car thing.
I know it's not going to happen, but that's kind of what it would.
Just I don't need it to be as extreme, because I do think the StarCitizen has a look and they're very particular about it. But like, you know, for example, like the door has a couple kind of fuel things. It'd be kind of cool if you could choose different fuel design pods to go on there with a little bit of variety. Or
front of a Hornet, the arse of a Starfarer. Yeah,
you know, just a few little things. I don't know what. I don't know what you guys think, but just a little, just touches, and we'll do paint
like,
as well.
If you go and buy a Jag, you know, when you go and buy like, obviously I've never bought a Jag, same way as I'm not an angel of CIG, but if you go and buy a Jag, you've got to, because it's the only vehicle that I can think of that you get to customize that much shit in it. But you go in and you order like the accessories and whatnot.
Can I Skoda wheels on it?
Yeah, I need them 18-inch alloys with the fat treads and, you know, lower the anyway. But there's still a heavy limit as to what they can do within that frame. So I've always seen it that way. So even when it comes to customization, you might be changing out the liter of engine, but you're still going to be restricted by the chassis side. And cosmetic wise, they're not going to let you put like I want to get some dank curtains on my trims for when on land, so that I make all the girls shake and wobble when my struts come out or something. I don't know. That's like, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? No.
Do you know what?
Flowery
Do you know what? I kind of think they are going to do that though.
Really?
With the 300, one of the things they want to do is add its own like little customizable thing, like add and take away sort of stuff before you even like
the colors, didn't they?
They do.
Well,
mine bounces. I don't know about anybody else's, but my glaive currently bounces on the pad. It's still, hey, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else's, but mine is happy. My glaive is very happy to be alive.
But no, they honestly talked about that when they talked about one of the reasons why they delayed the 300 is because they're coming out with this new system that'll basically let you customize the interior and exterior of the ship to whatever color you want, whatever the interior material you want, and that kind of stuff. with
I
very
not
specific-
considered luxury
You gotta
ships.
you gotta pay for that though, right? That's going to be dropping some money on that.
We don't
stuff as
know.
well, right?
We don't know because they haven't. They just mentioned it during the anniversary sale. That's one of the reasons why they delayed to 3.5. Now we're delayed to 3.5. Now the other thing I was concerned about is that also means my thought was equipment, upgrading the equipment to some better equipment and that kind of stuff, which seems kind of dangerous territory.
Very well. If it's only cosmetic, it's fine. But if it's actually performance cosmetics, then performance things, then you're getting into real dangerous territory. They're already kind of at it. Like I was saying the other day, if you are a combat pilot that has a saber, sorry, Kai. If you're a combat pilot that has a saber, you want to buy a Freelancer Max because you get 4 Omni Skies on that bad boy. You can then take those 4 size 3 Omni Skies. You can claim the shit out of that ship for, what is it, 1,000? I think it's 1,000 AUC versus the 70,000 it would cost you to buy it in game. It's like a no-brainer, you know. If you can afford it, why not have it? Upgrade to it, you know what I mean? If you've got a Cutlass, pay an extra $50 or whatever it is, and get yourself a Freelancer Max.
Got you hook, line, and sinker.
So you can get the Freelancer Max.
That's still way more expensive than it is valuable in game.
What do you mean?
Because a Freelancer Max is $180.
No, is it now? Or was it 100? I thought it was 140 originally. Have they gone up? I thought it was 150
now. It's 150 now. It's 150 now. So it's $150.
Yeah.
So, and the 70,000 it takes to get 4 Omni Skies is $70.
Yeah. What, to buy it permanently?
Well, no, but to get it in universe, and you got to remember that long term they're going to start adding things like insurance to these components. So buying $150 so you can get like 6-7 months of a meta, which will probably change in 3 months.
Totally
is kind of
every time Madness says this practically every time we have a podcast, he goes like buy a ship to get guns. Like he's thinking, what? I've never.
Am I the only person who thinks that ship kind of looks like ass? I just like
it's totally
the Freelancer Max.
It's got a big ass.
So disappointed. I'm so disappointed in it. Really am. It was so.
Really?
It was.
I hate all of
it's orange.
I'm gonna have to walk out of here.
I like the Max.
I'll give you the orange.
The orange
is nice.
Paul,
don't go. Paul, stay.
I love the Max.
With these heathen fuckers.
I thought the Max is great. The only thing I don't like about it is the orange colorway. But other than that, I think the Max is wicked looking.
The orange is the best bit about it.
And Wiggles,
Big engine.
As Wiggles has said before, as Wiggles said there, like the 300 is the test bed for this system. They're planning on implementing it with all the ships to have like you can get it your custom paint job or interior for everything. It'll just be more luxurious with the 300. And if they can get that done, that means they can get rid of things like variants. Like, what's the real difference between a 315p and a 300i? The color and some equipment. That's about it. So the idea being able to just, instead of having variants, you just have standard stock variants, and you can mix and match depending on what's in those packages. Kind of like the idea that they've changed the battlefield upgrade kits for the Vanguards have gone from being actual swap out parts to just being, hey, this is an equipment kit that you can purchase and then swap out
They seem to keep fluctuating on that, because there was a point when that seemed to be the way they were going with the modules and changing everything. Then they went to this whole, they had a thing, but they said we're going to variants now. So instead of having upgradable bits, we're doing variants. And so if you want it to do this, you get this variant. And now they seem to be going back the other way and thinking, well, no, actually, it's a better way to go.
I think they're going back the other way not because that's the variants are the way to go, but because it's no longer like with the battlefield upgrade kits. It was like you pulled out the entire middle section of a Vanguard, and now you swap it out, and now it's suddenly something different. Now it's not pulling out an entire middle section. What it is, it's just like
changing components.
It's the goodies bag of components that you can swap out. So instead of having the standard, what are they called? Starbucks on the turret of the Vanguard. Now you can put those missile pods on the sides. You know, that's all it is.
It's the points. I always looked at it. It's the point system of the ships in the way like they do the hangars. It's like you start to add the blue points to the spaceships to be able to switch things in and out.
Yeah, and it's also like they said on the ATV, wasn't it, about the fact that it's going to be on the website so that you can do that when you buy your ship. It's like, well, like you've argued before, like I don't want these guns that it comes with, so I'll buy it with these guns set instead, which increases. It'll change value because of the value of those guns, but it allows them to sell it more customized, I suppose.
Which I like. I'm not going to lie. I want, as a person, as a customer, I always feel that the customer should be allowed to have as much options to choose as they want. I think that's a good thing, honestly.
Sorry.
I think that's a good thing. Oh, by the way, Paul, just going back to your point about it being $70. My point was, is if you have a cutlass spare or something like that, upgrade to Freelancer Max. It's only like what, $50, $40 to do the upgrade. That's still cheaper than buying the Omni that way.
Yeah, but that assumes that you've already purchased $100. So it's $150.
I said I was saying.
If you've got a
You did
cutlass
say to be
laying
fair,
I
around,
was saying if you've got
You just have
cutlass
$100 digital
lying around,
JPEG.
upgrade it.
it's just laying around.
I'd still choose the cutlass. I would still hand over foot choose the cutlass, hands down, definitely, just because it looks sexy as fuck.
I mean, if you've got a good spare 20 grand invested in the game, you could get one of each ship and swap in weapons constantly.
If you've got a couple million, you could become an angel.
Yeah, you could. But I do agree. I actually do get your point. I do agree. Like, I definitely would not want a Cutlass Black and the Freelancer Max, because the Freelancer Max, obviously, with that 122 cargo space, the fact it's quite small, nimble, it's going to be able to go through jump holes and be able to carry that. It's going to make you a good little bit of money, I reckon, as well. The only thing I will say with it is it goes pop to one cockpit shot in my glaive. It's the most softest ship I've ever seen.
They've been doing that for ages.
I love it. I love watching them just go.
When I rock up
been
with them
exploding like that.
fives, when I rock up with them dual size fives and shoot you in the face, you die.
It's just insane.
Shit, man,
watching
that's
them
really
go.
no shit, mate.
I haven't noticed that before until literally, like, I was going, oh, this is pretty powerful. Yep, this is a pretty.
I don't think I've ever flown a freelancer where it's not just gone pop to most things. Like, most of the time, either an engine comes off or.
But it's
I was
a
in
lot
a game with Night Kai the other day, and he was covering me at Jump Town, and he proper got me covered off against some chap, and he did a drive-by on him. He was in a Hornet, managed to get a ballistic spray across the cockpit, so Night Kai bled out in the cockpit trying to cover me escaping off from Jump Town. So I couldn't. I was loaded up at this point, so I couldn't turn and help him. So I just booted out of there.
Lift him.
And a couple of seconds later, he comes across on the side of comms, something along the lines of. Fly safe, KaiKer, or something along those lines. And Night Kai's like, have you seen chat? I was like, yeah, it's a really good point you're making there. And I was like, you just killed my escort? He's like, all right. Oh yeah. Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks very much. We'll just wait for his respawn. Cheers, fella. Yeah. So those cockpit shots, they can just, you don't need a size 5. They can just, I think it was an Avenger he hit him, then ballistic spray across cockpit with an Avenger or something. Can happen.
That's why the cockpit's scratched.
Must be. Yeah. But what I will say is, for the Freelancer Max, if it's a bit of a better version, it's carrying that much cargo. We're keeping you up, Paul. You're right, buddy. I don't want you to.
No, I'm good.
Right.
I'm still waking
Long
up
day.
because I was up at.
It's Mondays.
I got up at
Mondays are tough, man.
I got up at 5 in the morning because it's finals. So I've been up for
finals.
Well, because I'm a teacher by day.
No,
so I had to give it, and so I haven't had any food. So I got up, woke up, had coffee, and then went to school, came back home, and started this. So my body's just kind of like, news.
Grab a bite to eat. You don't mind, just dribble all over the microphone, drool everywhere. It's fine. I do it all the time. That's what I do.
Really
I'm the worst streamer, because literally people come on my stream and be like, "Hi everyone, it's lunchtime. I've just started the stream." How's it going?
It does. Even in D&D, I mean, it's like, Madness, what are you going to do next?
I don't know. Just having food.
I actually have a question now, then, leading on from Paul's comment about finals. Is that like as in final
exams?
In Christmas, do you not our finals equivalent of is in like the subdo American
we have both
from Christmas? Oh, okay.
Well, it depends. We use the semester system, so we have 3 semesters per year, and you have fall, spring, and summer. And in the fall semester, some classes are single semester and some are multiple semesters. So I only teach single semester classes, but we call them finals because of that.
Yeah.
But
don't come back again.
They're also considered.
If they fail, they've got to come back again. That's the way it works.
for two semester classes, they're considered midterms. But because they're 2 unique semesters, if they pass the first semester finals, the first semester midterms, then they get credit for that for like half a credit for that class, and then they have to pass the second to get the full credit. So
That's
that way,
like A levels and AS levels over here, because they just when you do A levels, you sit first half at the Christmas, and if you mess that up, you then resit those in the summer. You don't get the opportunity.
You have to go resit
unless you like cram it.
Yeah, that's the same. That's the same idea.
Yeah, I see it. I see what you mean.
It's just a way of breaking it up so that, you know, if you screw up your first half of the year, but you second half of the year you do fine, then you just have to redo the first half, not the full year. So,
apologies, lads.
American education system.
I like information. You don't get information. Ask questions, right? Gotta learn.
I was enjoying that, guys. Carry on. Feel free. Right. So I'm eating. By the way, for everyone, this is peanut butter pastry from Chinatown. It is delicious.
Okay. I'm gonna get food now.
Go get some food. Go get some food, man. Yeah, get some food.
You just broke him. You just broke him, man.
I knew I would.
Expose my.
It's not. This is a casual show. It's Christmas. It's a casual show. Do what you want. It's fine. Me and Miz will hold it down.
Well, don't expose yourself too much. I mean, Danny still wants to be able to stream afterwards, but.
Oh, look, little kitty. That's the biggest pussy we've had on this show for years.
It's the only pussy we've had on this show.
God,
on my stream, I got Zoom on one side and your stream on the middle, and he literally walked out of Zoom and onto the because of the delay onto the other screen.
That's so good. It's so good. We are actually, if we ever do get a female viewer, please, and if you do play StarCitizen and you want it and you're a streamer or whatever, I'd love to have you on the show to talk shop.
Sorry, gents, I cracked the window.
If anyone knows any female streamers or whatever who are interested, please let them get in contact with Miserable.
Probably not plenty of females just not want to come on the show.
I don't blame them if they didn't, but we're actually a really good bunch of lads, and we're a lot of fun. Okay, so
have you just did I step away and you're trying to organise some twisted order?
It kind of sounded when you come back. It did kind of sound like he was on a date in himself.
Is there any girls out there
play StarCitizen?
That's kind of being desperate. It was a little bit like the one thing you don't do in a bar. If there are any single women here, please feel free to come on over. You don't do that way.
Right.
That's the worst way you can do it.
You just add in more ammunition to the glaive extortion racket that I'm working on.
I kind of that's to be. I've always kind of been. My mate used to drive my mate crazy because I would. Anyway, we'll talk about this sort of stuff, guys. When you meet me at CitizenCon in person, we'll have some good stories to talk about. The next wonderful story is the quantum overheating issue.
Sorry, I just read it on the document. Like, I do love me flying with friends, but I have issues because I have miserable. Let's say it'll probably end with someone crashing. What's that?
You want to? So I make little comments on all of my notes as well. So okay, so all right, we'll go to 57. Okay, so I do love flying with friends. The issue I have is with miserable. Okay, so you'll see this. Right, hang on. So this was a clip. This is a French streamer by the name of Pterodon, I think his name is. And him and his mate were doing a pass through the valleys, and they were flying together in close combat in razors. It looked a lot of fun, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, I can't wait to do this with. And then I was like, shit, I can't do this with Mid. It's never going to happen. We're just literally, he's just going to bulldoze into the. I'm just going to watch him go smash. Smash and explode in front. I mean, we will try. But please do come along to watch.
Can I
watch
us try this when you do it? Because I think it'll be fucking priceless.
I mean, Madness and I was you streaming at that time when we tried to do the cyclone race? We tried 2 or 3 times, and we didn't actually manage to get to the start.
We didn't even get to the start of the race.
Let alone actually race.
It was like, who thought it was a great idea to put the race 70 kilometers from the fucking place where you can spawn vehicles? Genius. Anyway, I saw this, and that was my comment, was that it just wouldn't work. It's just not going to happen. It would look great though. I was just like, oh, I'm so jealous. That looks.
I could do it in my Reliant because they're known for being really nimble.
Oh, Miz, there's another one. This wasn't miserable doing this, by the way. Hang on. This is Matachi stream. Did you see that, guys? We'll slow this down for anyone that didn't see it. Okay. What? Look in the middle. What?
Yeah, that was
Look in
me.
the middle. A guy goes through the gap in an arrow of the house. So basically, that's your strategy right there. Boom. If you're ever faced with an issue with the arrow, go straight through the middle.
You need to line up hammerheads and then get them to do it for all of them.
That was nuts, right? I was like, that would be
so
good.
do that. Talk about thread in the ring. Wow.
It's pretty awesome. I did that with my eyes closed as well.
I was like, yeah, that is legit.
Confirmed. Miz uses hacks.
Impressive flying.
To be fair, I could probably only do that with my eyes closed.
We were talking about. Oh, Miz would have to do it drunk. Miz is like the greatest pilot drunk, I reckon. He's like probably like he could do anything drunk.
No fear whatsoever. It's just like a lift from the wind.
He'd just be amazing. But okay, quantum overheating. This is a hot topic in terms of literally no pun intended, but it is a hot topic because
I want to know what Paul's eating.
people are Paul, what are you eating? Give us a demo.
Is
Chips with bread.
chicken
Oh,
and rice.
no.
Looks
Is that,
nice.
what's that? Beans?
So,
Brown beans?
no, it's
Kidney beans, isn't it?
no, it's mushrooms.
Oh,
It's got mushrooms, chicken,
Like a
and,
risotto.
rice. Yeah, it's considered Southern style chicken and rice. Is what it is. So,
Nice.
wild
has-
rice,
Paul has
mushrooms.
Paul does his drinking one. We do the food show. That's what we do. So okay, so quantum overheating. So this is quite an interesting one. I was chatting to Snake Eater. I think actually I agree with him on this one. Quantum overheating should be something that's, I think, mainly on multi-crew bigger ships, because that's in a gaming experience for people that are on board that, if you've got your friends on there, to be able to do something. Keep things running, maybe get out your seat, manually fix something. I don't know, whatever it is to try and keep your ship or something. Something, a warning light's come on, or someone can go and do something. That's interesting. You can get out your ship. If you're in a fucking single-seater fighter or whatever else, or I just don't think quantum overheating should be a thing. I really don't.
Was this to do?
Unless you override, like you should have like a cooldown period, like an extended cooldown period after
But
you
is it to
quantum
do
jump.
with, like, piracy and pulling people out of quantum and then stopping them from quickly flying away again into quantum again? So it's like
That's a dumb way of doing that, though.
Yeah, it's
Well, I'm not
shit.
saying
That's a dumb way of doing what
that's-
No.
So
What?
this is the same problem. This is the same problem that CIG had with power plants. Remember when the stock loadout would overheat,
Oh,
even though
don't. That's
you
what
had
it
a
still
stock
does. It
lookout?
still fucking does.
It still
it's
does.
ridiculous.
But so you shouldn't have stock loadouts overheating that quickly.
Yeah.
And the same thing with quantum drives. They shouldn't overheat stock. Now, if you're using any kind of example, you should look at something like cars for overheating.
Exactly where my brain. Exactly.
Cars overheat when you use them too long and too hard in bad conditions. An Aurora shouldn't overheat because you're flying from Hurston to Crusader or vice versa. It should overheat if you're deciding to overclock your drive and try to get you that extra amount of speed, or because you're doing it 4 times in a certain minutes. There should be a heat meter that builds up that you have to let cool down.
It's the same as
That
the
would make more
classic
sense.
Battlestar Galactica, the way when they come out of the jump on a Battlestar Galactica, all of the drives
They have a cooldown period.
for extended
And I
period.
agree, but that
Sorry,
should
it's
I
actually
should
gonna
only
be
be
cool,
on
mate.
big ships. That should only be on big ships. I
And
don't think that
Auroras.
should be on. I think
Yeah.
small ships.
No, I
should
agree.
only cool
I think
down.
small ships should have it, but only over a long time. I think it should be faster, so you don't.
Or
almost
small
never
ships
experience
should have to do extended jumps in smaller intervals because of smaller drives on as an offshoot or something. So it invariably makes them a little bit slower, but they don't have to deal with their core overheating.
Yeah, I don't think. Honestly, they should just be interdicted only. I don't think they should be ever. I don't honestly. For me, they should.
My
never
response was a bit brutal to Miz. Sorry there, dude. Before I said it was a load of shit. Sorry, mate. It came across a little bit aggressive.
The three of us, Miz is playing, or maybe he actually genuinely thinks it's a good thing. So go for it, Miz.
No, I don't think it's a good thing. Like you said, it was. I was just saying that's possibly why they were doing it, because they, like you said, they like the whole ambush thing, and if you're getting pulled out of quantum, it stops you just zipping away straight away. I didn't say necessarily it was a good way of doing it, or I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm just saying I wonder if that's one of their thinkings for it. But
it could be.
I agree with like Paul in terms. I mean, it would make sense for a smaller ship to recover quicker.
Have any of you ever watched Space Above and Beyond?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one episode on Space Above and Beyond. I watched it a couple days ago, actually, where there is a ship that overheats basically the systems on a freight ship in order to make breakdown. Everything overcharges, and it overcharges the engine, breaks down. And it's a stealth crippler ship that's designed solely to do that, and it cripples the ship to the point where it then closes in for an easy kill. So going off what Miz is saying, that would be really cool if you'd got a space mining vessel that was really heavily laden with, or a frigate, or so, like not frigate, like a carrier with pretty sizable defenses, but you want to disable it without blowing it up. So having the ability to cook systems within the ship over time, with that, but make it look like routine system breakdowns, just so coincidentally all going off at the same time. That would be really cool, so that you could single out a ship and just disable it slowly and systematically and break it down until you can board it and take the goods and kill off who's on board. I'd like that. Wouldn't
that be like a kind of a form of an EMP or electronic warfare rather than, you know?
It would, but with a classic
Not so
EMP,
obvious.
it just
It's
like
stealth. So it's like, why the fuck are my engines keep overheating?
You know,
you just think something's damaged, a component is damaged or something, rather than someone.
You spend 20 minutes going through your ship looking to see this.
Firstly, great idea. It would only work like 52 car pickup. It'd work once, but once that person and anyone else in the world knows that that's what that ship does, everybody would know what the fuck it does. You know, it's like a tally. Once you've been blown up by a size 9 tally, you know to get the fuck away when the tally comes swarming into the area. You know, that's the first ship you're going to go after. It's a great idea. I like it, but I just don't think it would have to be it'd have to be a component part that people could add to every ship potentially to make it so you wouldn't know which ship it could potentially have it.
You do it over 2 hours. You do it over like a 2 hour. Well, it would be the long play, like you really slow.
In Mech Warrior, they have a really in-depth heat mechanic, and the in-depth heat mechanic is you have a heat bar that will raise depending on movement, firing, and anything else. And if you're doing anything other than standing still, your heat's going to increase. And there's a weapon in Mech Warrior called the Flamer, which is just a flamethrower. But the idea of the flamethrower is it doesn't do any real damage to a mech, but it does make it overheat because it'll build up the heat much faster. So you could do something like that with like a weapon, use overheat the damage.
If you couple it with the Mech Warrior system where you can override the overheat process, because you can, I don't know if you play mech, the rest of it, you can override your overheat mech systems because it's a safety feature. But if you override it, it means your mech will go critical. So if someone with a flamer runs up and starts gating flames all over you, you've overridden your system and not turned it back on. They can actually cause your mech to detonate because you've turned off the safety precautions. So if someone's engine keeps tripping out, I'm just going to override the safety precautions so I can get out of here. And then you do it again and blow up their engine on the ship. And then it's just drifting through space.
I hope this is the sort of gameplay we're going to get, even if it's not shipped to another ship. Like you can go and sabotage someone's ship, so you can go on it and fuck up, put stuff on their components to overheat there or override components, make things go wrong.
Pull out their coolers and not realize that you pulled out their coolers.
Put fake coolers in.
We can kind of do it now. If you can sneak onto someone's ship, you can access one of the kiosks. If you can get on the ship, you can access the kiosk and power down from the engineering room. The guy will be like, "Hey, what's happened? My shields have come down." You could, if you were smart enough and you had your mates with you, and they're all ready and they're all about to blow up the hammerhead, and you're all like, unfortunately, because you can't disable. But if you had your mates with you and you're like, "Okay, we're about to engage," you're talking on Discord or whatever, or ready, we're going to attack the hammerhead. They don't know I'm on. We need you to go power down from the engine room the shields, and then boom, you power down the shields, and then bang, there's your moment, because you would instantly be able to destroy it at the moment, but maybe in the future you'll be able to just cripple it then, which would make it very, very exciting gameplay. But I really like the idea of a weapon that can do that. I think the idea of having like multiple small ships that could swarm something like a hammerhead and just attack it, bombard it with constant damage to components, heat damage would be really, really fucking cool. Watching the Hammer trying to take out all these small ships with all those turrets to stop that from happening would be a really cool scenario, because these big ships, I think Snake was on Captain's table and he said the same thing. When the 890 comes in, that's the first ship that's going to have size 6 shields, which is twice the size of the largest ones we've got now, which is size 3, right? Which is, that's insane. So, you know, we may need something like that to be able to switch out, to be able to get group damage. You know, we're thinking as a pirate, thinking as a combat person. So I love the idea of that, and I would hope CIG does do something like that in the future. Great, good job, guys.
UAG's mentioned something there as well. Companion ships, because it's like a ship that's designed so you don't know what the loadout is. I'd potentially like for any ship to be like, so you can fake being a crippled like hauler drifting in space. You send out a distress call and then ships turn up and you turn on them and you start dropping torps. Like you've got nothing else. I'll just start barraging swarm missiles out.
That's what the miss is. I feel like that's what's going to happen with the miss. Is that the miss?
That's fair.
From a distance,
the outline is a cargo hauler. Yeah,
it's going to be look like a freelancer, but you get close, you suddenly realize, oh
shit.
that's not a freelancer. It's a miss, and suddenly you're getting barraged by 38 missiles hitting you at one point. You know,
that's
sort of
scanning
story.
Check that
story about the story. It doesn't matter. The beginning and the end doesn't matter. It's the story getting from A to B. That's
It's cool. It's cool. There's some good stuff. There's definitely some exciting potential.
Ability disabling torpedoes, boarding cruisers, boarding torpedoes that have got crews on them.
It's very exciting. Like I think once CIG gets rid of all of these basic core things, I think the last one's server meshing. Is that right? And there's a few other constant improvements to bind culling and OCS and stuff, which is coming. But once they get that done and they get server meshing, they can keep to improving it. Like I really want them to get to this stuff. I want them to continue to build on the kind of gameplay and the fun and all of this stuff. I don't, like there's a few more I can guess females and some aliens and whatever else, but honestly, like it's exciting, very exciting stuff.
Well, it's like we're looking forward to the mechanics now. It's all very well adding extra planets and moons and stuff, which is nice, but to have some of these mechanics in is what we're really looking forward to, because adding the extra areas without the mechanics is you're just adding more space for people to spread out with, and less gameplay to a certain degree, which is why we're getting the whole jump town thing. You're pulling people back in again because they're all going to a certain spot. The more area you give 50 people, the less likely you are to bump into someone.
Which is very much what we said about. Sorry, we said about this, Miz, didn't we? Before, like at the beginning of the year, we said that. Like when we were talking about 3.0,
planets were even in.
Yeah, we said like once we have planets and everything, the SPK combat area and the way things were will get diluted, and that's exactly what's happened. And now again, they've shown how everyone's enjoying themselves, and Chris is getting excited getting excited by PvP. Chris, by anyone that's a special snowflake out there that hates being blown up at Jump Town or blown up generally, Chris Roberts made the game and was excited this ATV about Jump Town, and he was loving it. So he loves PvP. Yeah, he loves it. He wants that in the game. He knows that it's important. So anyone that's a special snowflake, please just chill out. Maybe this isn't the game for you, because
they're one of these ones falling down now.
Yeah, they are. These are all the special snowflakes. Just
I've gathered on top of my screen. Get off.
Like seriously,
that when a development company of this size, this much experience in a field, I saw it a lot with originally with when I used to play League of Legends way back when, and Riot, and see each season people playing, oh my god, why did you do this? Because now this is broken and this is imbalanced. They make the meta. Riot is a classic example of a company. The way they make League of Legends stay relevant is each season they decide what the meta is going to be, and then make all of their changes to make that the meta. It's not that they're really stupid and they don't understand what they're doing. It's that they're really fucking good. They're really good and they know what they're doing. And I would say that CIG are really good. So when they do something that seems really dumb as shit, like, oh my god, you've made all of the contracts like worthless. Not obviously not the features, so we say like the contract's not working properly, that's a whole different.
Yeah.
When you lower the price on something so that it's not worth doing for the most people, and it pushes them to something else, that there's a reason you do that. You don't just haphazardly do that out of like, oh, just flick the switch.
Yeah, I mean, part of it I think was like the mining. The mining is a good thing.
Yeah.
When mining first came, we don't need you to do trade cargo runs. We want to see people get out there and mine.
Yeah, you're testers. So everyone's a fucking tester, for Christ's sake. It's the idea. They just direct you where they need you.
Just because ugly, you're talking about, you know, I don't want. Excuse my voice. What the hell? Hang on. As a person who usually plays PvE, I have no problem with PvP as a game. I do have a problem with being killed for the sake of being killed. Like if I'm mining and you fly up and you blow me up, blah, blah, salvage. But don't salvage. Well, the point is at the moment we can't do that. So I think things will change slightly once you can do that.
So why come up and blow me up then? If you can't salvage them, why do it?
Yeah. Why do it? Because I'm a combat player. They want to practice blowing you up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If I get a shiny new ship with big guns, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna. If I see that you've just loaded up on cargo and you've been there a while, I'm probably gonna let you slide unless you do something because you put a lot of effort into that. But for the most part,
blowing you up and taking your cargo.
I've been waiting.
I don't want to ruin everyone.
Yeah, but you can't take the cargo at the moment. That's what it's saying.
That's
the
what
point?
No,
sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It's a buggy thing. It's supposed to be Apple.
In a single seater, you're not though, Paul.
Ship explodes, you're supposed to be able to.
If I'm in a single seater pilot, I'm not. There's no way I'm putting any of that cargo on board my single seater pilot. No, this is not going to happen. But the point is that I would say
no one does.
You have spent. Let's just say we go to jump down. Okay, it's taken. I've loaded in the game. I've got out my seat. I've got to my ship. I've got up. I've got into my combat ship. I've taken off. I've flown to Yellow. I've figured out how to get to Grimhex. I've then got the thing. I've scanned it. By the time I've done that, a good chunk of time has passed. And then I'm waiting. Like a spider waiting for a fly. Then I'm waiting for a good amount of time for my target, my prize, whatever you want to call it, to practice my ability to kill a target, to track a target, to do whatever I want to do. At the end of the day, I'm spending a huge amount of my time to do that. So why shouldn't I blow you up? That's a lot of my time, my game time to do that. Now, whether it's not your game style, you've spent a lot of time getting into your ship, going to the place, landing, buying something, getting up, flying back again. There's no real difference other than you're just playing a slightly different type of game. Now, we could argue about whether this is a good way to play or a bad way. That's a different conversation. But the point is, I've invested my time to play a game in a certain way. You've invested your time to play in another way. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. It's just at the end of the day, we're both playing the game. And Chris Roberts has built the game to do both. That's the way it is. That's the way I look at it.
It also adds excitement to mining because it makes it worthwhile. Like last week's streams, my streams last week were focused on learning how to mine. And it was actually OG that was showing me, to be fair, he took me out in his prospector and showed me how to mine. But I still ran with an escort. And the escorts that I run with were under the specific instruction that if anybody comes anywhere near, you make them leave. Because, you know, not everybody's looking for a fight, but that adds the excitement to the game. It's like when you turn up in Jump Town and you don't know if someone's going to shoot you, if you're going to be the asshole that starts it. You never know. That's the fun of Jump Town. But then when you're out mining, you know, I want to be focusing on trying to break rocks. I'm not a big miner fan. I was like, you know, trying to practice this thing. But I took a couple of wingmen just to make sure that no one's with me while I'm trying to practice. It adds.
You don't always kill the target.
We have at the moment, though, is that we don't have, say, safe zones for those that don't want to engage in that, which eventually there will be safer places people can mine and stuff. Whereas if you've got nowhere that you can actually safely mine without someone just coming and blowing up for absolutely zero reason, it's kind of like it's more skewed towards your type of gameplay because A, the servers are small, so there's only 50 people, so getting an escort is not that easy. B, the money was paying so shit, so you can't actually afford to pay for an escort. And then thirdly, you haven't got anywhere where you can actually mine in peace if that's your type of gameplay.
Question:
what you could enforce your gameplay on everybody everywhere because PvP is available everywhere. They can't do their gameplay anywhere.
No, top tip is
interesting.
The key is to find combat pilots. This isn't obviously this isn't ideal, and I get what you're saying, but a top tip for anybody suffering that wants a solution for it. There are plenty enough combat pilots out there that don't give a shit who they're shooting at, as long as they're shooting at something, who will fly around and keep you alive, just for the chance of action, basically. So you don't necessarily have to pay them. You just have to give them the potential lure of combat.
Well, I'll tell you this. Like, if you're mining, and in all honesty, if you're mining, if I'm going to fly support for you mining, I don't think I'm going to meet anybody until you probably try and fly into Olisar or Hex to sell it. That's the only places. When you're mining, the game is huge. You could go off into the middle of Yellow, in the middle of nowhere. No one is going to scan you down and try and find you. No one's going to do that. Honestly, I don't do that. I don't go roaming around in my glaive all over Yellow, all over the Hurston, trying to find one person. I'm going to find someone that's mining because I know
Let me put it this way.
I'm not going to find them.
If you're worried about someone griefing you while you're mining, don't mine next to mining areas. Don't just show up at mining.
Just go over
Go about 100 kilometers away from those places. Go in the middle of nowhere, and you'll find good stuff anyways.
I get what Eugene means, though. I definitely get what.
I mean, I get it.
It can't be easy for. In most games, I don't like most communities within games. I don't tend to go out of my way to get involved within the communities because it usually brings more aggro than it's in a roundabout way. But with something like this game, the whole point of it is social interaction. So in most of my streams, I don't, if we're doing stuff in StarCitizen, I don't tend to bring people in unless it's people I know personally, and I'll bring them in and we'll do things. But with the StarCitizen stuff, because it's the nature of the way the game is, I actually try and encourage people that I don't know to just, they may not necessarily come on Discord on stream because I'm liable for things they say, but I'll encourage them to jump in the party just because that's half of, for me, I wouldn't play StarCitizen anywhere near as much if I didn't play it with friends, because it'd be very empty and boring for me personally. I think it's all about those social interactions and being able to say, oh my God, dude, did you just see what just happened there? Like that. So maybe I take for granted that anything I want to do, I'll hit up a mate. And I've made friends. I've made lots of friends within that I didn't have within the StarCitizen community playing. That I will ask them if they want to be in on something, or I'll let them know in advance when I'm doing things so that they can jump in on the action and join in on it. But I think that's just like the forethought I've got of planning ahead. So that's probably like it is a streaming. I'm thinking ahead of I intend to do and execute so I prep for it. So I 6 of one half doesn't the other.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. Keep on saying excuses for bad behavior. To be fair, it depends what you class as bad behavior. What I class as playing the game for PvP
for zero reason.
It's part of the game. Like the problem I have is that at the same time, if you can get blown up by anyone who's wanting to blow you up, that's part of the game. It's part of what you sign up for. Just because they can't get something out of it now, doesn't mean that people won't just do that tomorrow or when it is in game. Some people are just assholes and will go around and blow shit.
Yeah,
some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, some people have had a bad day, and they just want to. Everyone's sometimes had a bad day, and you just want to let out a little bit of vent out, a little bit of frustration. And there's a puny little Aurora, and it's just like, oh, do you know I've had my boss today, for example, been a right shit to me. Absolute ass cunt. I just wanted to fucking slap him in the face a couple of times. Terrible. Puts me in a bad mood. I get in the game, and I see a little thing, and I blow it up. Doesn't necessarily make me feel really, really good, but for a little moment, I have a little cheeky smile on my face, and that was nice. Like people go punch a punching bag or whatever. I know it fucks that person's up day for 5 minutes, and it's not necessarily nice, but hey, some people just have bad days they want to vent.
And at the same time, it's alpha. You're not really.
That's the other thing.
I think.
I'm losing fucking time. The amount of times I had to respawn and get on the fucking train to get back to where the ship is.
But Miz, it's just gonna get wiped in a couple of weeks, anyways.
Not to just. I'm not bothered because I don't mind and shit.
But
I'm just saying,
that's what
technically,
I mean.
it's like the whole.
You have to take this into perspective. As much as stuff isn't in yet, and those people aren't in. The stuff that people want to do isn't in yet. None of it matters in the long run.
Yeah, moaning too much about it at the moment is. Yeah,
I would extend this off.
That's all I'm saying is the countermeasure to it isn't there at the moment, and so it's up to you whether you want to be an arsehole and just shoot.
Well, it kind of is
for no reason.
Because I arrive at Hurston.
This is a countermeasure. Hang on, it goes to I'll extend it to you guys and anyone in chat. If you need someone, want to go do mining, and you need an escort, and I'm on, hit me up. I'm quite happy to sit around and blow up some asshole if they try to start a fight with you. More than happy to do that for you.
Well, I mean, and here's the other thing, right? Okay, like I got in my glade for the first time the other day. I thought I'd take. I love to track. My favorite thing is tracking people. I love to try and follow people, track them, watch them, observe them,
the shower,
try and kill them. You know, because I always like to try and learn how they're thinking, what type of gameplay they do. And I tracked this person.
Okay.
Jumped in.
Also, I'm gonna step back. QPen, you know me. I don't complain about stream snipers. I don't think anyone really complains about stream snipers in this crew. I like to acknowledge that they exist, and I like to mock them because it means they're bad. Because they have to use a stream to get advantage. And I don't like pad rammers because pad rammers are lazy trolling. But at the same time, saying that those people need to get banned because they're pad ramming or because someone's stream sniping is stupid. It's part of the game, and you really can't really handle that.
The only time I ever have an issue with stream snipers is in a game where you lose something, Tarkov or like Hunt Showdown, where you can lose something that you've worked for that's tangible. Like that requires like a lot of effort rather than you get a free ship and you go resource.
It's kind of not much different.
But at the same time, it's part of the game. Like you take the risk when you stream.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, otherwise, I like stream snipers because they make content. They literally turn up and do things for you, and it's I don't have to think about what to do. I just have to react.
If you don't like it, if you don't want that, then stick a massive delay on your stream and just deal with it. That's the way you do. You know, there's a solution for it if you want to.
And I'm sure there are people who complain about those things, but I don't know if those people are complaining about that and then also being total dicks about their streams or about what they're doing. Then that's them.
I operate on the philosophy of I behave in a certain way. I might get every now and again, but generally like just the usual.
I'll get frustrated at the end of the day, if I get blown up, but it's
I have to accept it because it's karma. The way I always look at it is like number of times people watch my stream, if anyone's watched my stream, is I'll blow somebody. Like I killed I think the French streamer, all of his entire team, and then I self-destructed his ship, but I couldn't get off the ship in time, so I died. It was like instant karma. That happens. You know, it's
you to be fair, you've got to throw this in context as well. Because UOG before now is
it was who was it? One of the biggest streamers at the French, one of the biggest streamers at the time. I can't remember his name. And he had this. I got onto his equipment. I was trying to test a theory about how you can track other people's ship. If you can get onto somebody's ship, it gives you the marker of their ship. So when I get off their ship, I can then spawn my ship, and then I can follow them around for a period of time. Eventually, it'll disappear. But if I stay close, it'll stay up, and I can follow them to where they're going, and then I can kill them. But I forgot, and I was talking to chat, and then they took off, and I was still on board. So I pulled out my shotgun and murdered them all. And then they didn't realize. And then somebody said, "You've just killed the #1 streamer in StarCitizen live on Twitch." I was like, oh shit. So I went in later and apologized.
Listen, I would never want you to pull your punches against me. If you see me and you have the desire to go full psychopath and murder me, then fight me. All right? It's free. I literally hunted Matachi and Sergeant Tickles. Me and Texas Skulls just saw them in the same server, so we just said they were going to do this big elaborate rover fight scene. So we came in a hurricane and just started shooting at them. They had Overwatch and stuff like. They had Overwatch and we eventually died, but it sparked the whole 25v25 massive impromptu the full. It was like
I love that shit.
It was like the top 15 people on StarCitizen Twitch were all in the same battle, just fighting each other over shit, and that's what started that whole that was the beginning of the whole movement for people to start doing these big massive battles in game. Came from that. Just me and Texas Skulls being dicks, and the thing was Tickles and Mitachi got it. We died for doing it, but at the same time, they understood why they did it. The way we did it, they thought it was funny.
It's what I like about this community and the streamers with it. That you can turn up and you can. We used to refer to it in DayZ as enriching people's experience. What you do is you get inside the helicopter and you fly down the coast, and you'd randomly spray bullets. You wouldn't aim for the fresh spawns or the people that are on the coastline. You just randomly spray bullets in their direction because it would get their blood pumping. And you weren't trying to kill them. You were just literally trying to just encourage some sort of response. I love that the streaming community.
I used to steal flashlights. We used to hunt new spawns. We would come out the bushes.
Not flashlights, people. He said flashlights. Not the flashlights.
No, flashlights for torches. Everyone spawns with a torch in DayZ at one point. So what you do is it's weird saying torch because I think it's torches. Whatever.
I'm with you.
Burn him. Burn
So
him. This has gone so British. Yeah.
Everyone spawns with a torch, and what we do is we'd find new spawns. We'd scream at them in local chat to get on the ground, and get on the ground, don't move, we'll fucking kill you. You want to fucking die? And they're like, what the fuck? I'm just a new spawn. I don't have anything. And if they complied, we'd scream at them, give us your flashlight, and they would be like, what? You would fucking stutter, give us the fucking flashlight. We had a pile in tents of just flashlights that we stole from new spawns, just because it would scare the shit out of them. And then we called ourselves the Flashlight Bandits because it was hilarious. Because we stole something that was completely worthless to most people just dropped it because it was too much. It just took up inventory space, and no one wanted to use it at night because you get shot. So. And it attracted zombies.
You know what? Our group was called on DayZ.
Wait, 1 second. 1 second. Just 1 second. Because, by the way, if anyone is watching or hearing and stuff, Twitch has been ridiculously weird to streamers over the last couple of days. The streams, for some people, it seems... No, I've watched many people's streams as well. It does tend to be... it seems to pause or freeze, and then people go, what's happened? Has it died? It's not... If the stream is running, you just got to keep F5 in. For some reason, it seems to be happening to streamers. I don't know what it is, but it does go... It seems to be looping around on people. Anyway, sorry. Carry on, Kay.
Sorry. GBB is a signature for our team. DayZ. It stands for Granny Biker Bandit Boys. We used to go around on the bikes, like cruising around the road.
Ching 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 bikes. Yeah.
I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I just want to also take the chance to answer something in chat like that I saw come up before with regards to facilitating like people protecting people when doing shuttle runs and mining runs and things like that. I think it's in 3.6 they're supposed to be bringing, or is it in 3.5 they're supposed to be bringing something in to make it easier for you to basically to facilitate the process of paying people to escort you. That's why I've been probably I think subconsciously is it 3.5 been going on about it quite a bit.
Escort beacons.
Yeah. So you can literally pay people to protect you. They're bringing that functionality in rather than having like an AI Crusader police force that goes around and dicks anyone that starts. You decide how much to pay someone. I'm just gonna keep talking and cover it. We're professionals. It's fine. It's all right. It's all right. It's all good. Nothing's on fire. Nothing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you didn't hear a woman cry and scream. She has
and a cat.
The slave. Yeah, exactly. The food slave is like Okay, so because I'm just looking at the time, I just looked at the time, and I don't want to go too over. It's a Christmas special. We tend to go over, but I do have a baby, and I don't want to go too long for people.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do year's roundup here. So I'm just gonna run through the roundup, and this because I like to do this because 2018 has been a pretty crazy year. It's been a roller coaster. There's no question. We've had serious highs and some serious lows. Most of the lows started at the beginning, and it's become incredibly high, I think, towards the end. It's very much a tale of two halves in the UK.
Is that a jump pun there?
Yeah. In the UK, we have football, and in America, they have a different type of football. And it's, they talk about the fourth quarter, I think, in their football kind of being the most important one, and where everything happens. It's kind of the same as happened really for us, for StarCitizen. But anyway, we'll go through it. So 3.0. So we'll break up the year. 3.0. And what was good? Okay, so we had Planet Landing. The first time we ever had, because we had moons. So I call them planetoids, planet landing. We could say whatever you want, but it's moon landing, I suppose. Not the type of moon landing in a gym. That's a different thing altogether.
What the fuck is that?
That's when two asses touch each other by accident in the gym.
I know, but there we go.
You know that? Okay.
Yep,
that's when you're like maybe getting changed, and the other person.
Things that you do in the gym, stay in the gym.
Have you got any bleach for my eyes, please?
You can't unhear it. I'm sorry. Once it's heard, you can't unhear.
It happens, people. It happens. Small locker rooms. Small locker rooms.
Okay.
It don't happen to me, but there we go.
Hey,
should be telling me space docking isn't the process of putting my Mustang in a hangar.
Oh.
It isn't. There we go. So we had moon landings, woo, which was really exciting. I think everybody was really excited when that happened. Everyone was rushing to try and get to the planets. The biggest problem we had with 3.0, the motherfucking thing crashed like crazy. The FPS was in the toilet. The frames were terrible.
Also, everything was broken.
Yeah,
combat was broken.
Everything was broken. Yeah,
everything was broken.
It broke everything. It broke everything. What we did get was we got a new inner thought system then as well, didn't we? Is that when we got the new use feature, massive overhauls of the systems? We got new characters for the first time as well to interact with, actual proper, because otherwise it was just Tessa. So we actually got, I believe, actual characters with Rito. Yeah,
Tessa.
And Tessa disappeared. Yeah, we
also got brand new mission system.
Yeah,
came in 3.0.
Yeah.
All the mission systems that came in last year, beginning of this year.
We got cargo running for the first time. The ability to do cargo running. We got Gravlev vehicles as well. How great they were working brilliantly. We all enjoyed the Gravlev system.
Remember when they said it was done? Remember they said in ATV that it was done?
The first time you sit on a dragonfly and you just...
They said it's done.
I remember that stream.
They said it was done, and then I remember like the day afterwards, Torque was streaming.
Yeah.
And the Bristol boy got into a Nox, and it just rose up to the ground and then exploded. Like the day after, just like done. Gravlab's done, guys.
It's done, guys. Yeah. It was literally they created a meme.
I think Madness and I took about 2 hours to fly somewhere so you could actually spawn the vehicle. We spawned them. We went to go somewhere and just literally straight up to space.
It was like two, both of us heading up to space in different directions. It's 4 hours of trying to get through crashes and breaks.
I don't think we actually went forward. We just literally went up and that was it. I was like, right, okay.
I think my favorite feature of this year is when you step into a lift and you get to see into the devil's anus, and it's just like
you see infinity.
Yeah. You like that is a fucking. I remember the first time. I still remember the first. It was like la 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 la. Push the button. La la. Oh fuck.
Yeah. What's going on? Am I going to die? I know. Am I going to die when I walk out?
Elevator
of this?
to hell.
That was magic.
The black abyss. Yeah.
It's never been the same since. That moment was just like.
Yeah. It's a scary thing. It makes you realize quite how small you are in StarCitizen. That's for sure.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
The bit that Ms. like the funny thing for me and you, I think the realization that I think we got out of that though was when it did work for the 10 minutes that it worked, for the 7 hours of trying to get it to work, but for the 10 minutes that it worked, when we both had dragonflies and we were both flying semi together. You were a bit behind me at one point, but we did actually join up and we watched the sunset across the moon. I remember just sat there looking at it, just going, "Yeah, this is going to be special if they can get this to work."
I don't think you wanted to do a good screenshot, so I was coming towards you, and then just you went far too high. He was like, "Wait, Miss, where you gone?"
This end in Thelma and Louise. I feel like this.
Kind of
the pair of you go off the side of a cliff.
It kind of did ended with death. It did end with death, that's for sure.
It always ends with death. Let's face it.
It wasn't.
There's no instance of stars.
Explosions did happen.
It did end. Yeah. It didn't end up with broken Space Mountain. No, that didn't happen.
That's when you start playing Star Citizen for the days when you see the like ceiling of your bunk for the 47th time and you go. Yeah, it's just a bit too far to the hangar this time. Just this time, it's just a bit too far. I've had enough.
So, and then when did we get was Lagsky in 3.0? Was Lagsky was in
2.6?
Was Lagsky in 2.6? So I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember when Lagsky came in, but I remember.
It might have been 3.0. I think it came in 3.0. Lagsky came in.
We didn't have the
planets. We didn't have planets. So we had Lagsky, which I remember was just like. I'm trapped. I can't get out of Levski. I'm stuck. The frames were utter trash.
Awful.
Just trash.
Yes.
I still want 10 minutes with that comms operator. I really fucking hate that dick. Hippie ass little shit.
But the thing was, is like at this moment though, things started to happen that were interesting. Like new streamers came along. People don't remember. I don't think realize like the Few was very new. He came along and he started to create things like the Grey Cat races, trying to escape from the hole from Nevsky.
Escape the Pit, Grey Cat Sumo, and like a lot of other content.
There was new content creators were creating new gameplays, and people were starting to do more multi-crew because the game was expanding. People were trying. The game wasn't letting them do it as well as they'd like to, but people were trying. And I remember seeing
when we discovered Jump Town for the first time and started the joys of selling drugs.
Which was
Korea. It's when Korea had happened before that, but Korea was still hopping in terms of FPS.
Yeah, it was still pretty good. And then we went to 3.1. So that was 3.0, and then it was like kind of like, okay, we're all kind of like, I was burned, okay, at this point because of things which we'll talk about later. I've got my salty section, which we'll talk about later. But then we got we haven't got time for the salty bit. We'll keep it again. But then we got the beacon system. So the beacon. So in 3.1, we got the beacon system to send out distress signals and to allow other players to travel to your position. Now, I don't know about anyone here. How many of you currently use the beacon system still?
I only use it if I accidentally drop out the back of a spaceship, usually in quantum travel.
I use it in case there's nobody else around, but I also use it to extort money out of people at Jump Town.
Interesting.
How did you do that? I am really intrigued.
Yeah. So what I do is I stick around with the group of, other players, and when a trader shows up and is like, hey, I'm friendly, I'll be like, cool, you're friendly, pay us 1,000 UEC, and using the combat system, the combat beacon, they just have to wait. They put 1,000 and they wait a minute and they cancel it, and I get the 1,000 UEC. So like protection money, at least amount of protection money. Like, you want to use Jump Town, you pay the price and you can go use it. And then the next time those traders come back, the exact same trade comes back, now it's 2,000. And then when they came back the third time, now it's 4,000. They come back down the 10th time, now it's 10,000. Well, why is it so much higher? Because we know you're making money because you've come back every so often, and I know that you make a 60% profit off that widow. So at first, I have no idea if you have money. But at the 10th time, you damn sure have money.
I like it.
And when they were using that at Cryastro too. That's how they were blocking.
I love the way you adjust your tie when you say like a businessman. He's like, and I'm doing business. That's so
I'm doing business.
Problem with the Cryastro one was the motivation behind it was a bit weird, wasn't it? You were on about the incident with the flight mod, or you want about?
Well, basically, they said they weren't paying attention. They weren't going to update the flight model and 3.1. They said they didn't care about Arena Commander.
And then they shut down Cryastro. But that, I think with yours, it's because they were just nuking people at Cryastro, weren't they? For the sake
they were saying either pay us money or we nuke you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what they would say. That's when people figured out you could fleece people for money.
Yeah, because with there it seems a bit like, I think if you, I don't know, there's something scummy about doing it on Cryastro versus something that I like about it being on Jump Town, because someone is turning a profit over at Jump Town. You see what I mean? It just seems like a better game mechanic. Not to say that I obviously should be judging which is.
No, not really. I mean, if you're playing a pirate and someone comes to Cryastro, they clearly need repairs.
But I think it's the motivation behind it. Paul's like,
so if you want to repair,
I think it's
Paul's like, I want to enrich your experience versus the other group that were like, we're just maliciously doing this because you're not fixing an aspect of the game. That
their reason behind it was stupid, but
that's
to actually hold down Cryastro is not particularly bad any worse.
I would say, I'd say it's actually harder because in theory, a call out to help. Paul Olisar is only one jump away, or maybe two jumps away.
One jump.
Not exactly. So that's a much harder thing to hold down than jump. Like, to go to Jump Town is I got to go all the way there. I got to figure out how to get there. I got to make sure.
It wasn't though until. No, I don't think it was, because they were hitting really soft ships with really combat focused into ships. It wasn't until other players within the community started to turn up in combat ships, being like, "Nah, this is." You want to fight, you want someone to stand up to you. Okay, we'll come and stand up to you. That's when it started. My point of view started to get like, okay, you're no longer kicking ponies, not ponies, babies even. Now you've triggered a response out of someone who's going to be like, okay, then boys, you want to fight? You want your arena commander? We'll give you your arena commander. You're ready. I think the motivation was my issue. I think more than anything else, probably it was the reason they did it.
Yeah, again, like this is where I come back to, at the end of the day, if I'm going to blow people up in spaceships, I can't really have too much of a moral standard on people. That's the way I look at it. It's kind of very rich if it comes from me.
It's like saying,
do you think just camping somewhere is going to make CRG go, oh, they must be pissed off about that. Let's go and work on that instead. Yeah, grow up.
That's it. That's the
not
bit.
going to make them change the development because you're doing a little protesting game.
If someone literally turned up and was like, "Okay, we're going to do this because we're
I understood. I understood why they did it. The original reason was from the people I know who were participating in it. They're basically their reason was the community has basically said that PvP players aren't important, and because they weren't important, they were trying to say, okay, cool. If you don't fix the PvP side of the game that we like, which is Arena Commander, then we're just going to have to do PvP in your side, and that'll just involve kicking ponies, kicking puppies, drowning kittens for a bit, and then the problem was that it's boring, but it eventually sparked people to start doing escort missions or start doing clear outs of Cryastro. It's the same thing that's happened at Jumptown. And even at Jumptown, people will still complain, I got blew up at Jumptown. It's like, but
time for it.
Yeah, that
it's a drug lab.
Exactly. It's not safe. It's the underlying motivational.
Yeah,
it's my issue, and it's those people again. It's like it doesn't to me. It doesn't. It's not a good way to argue a case. I'm a combat pilot with a primary focus also in FPS games. That's what I'm waiting for in StarCitizen, is being able to escort, being able to raid, being able to do ground incursions. And I pretty much can't do any of that at the moment, which is why I'm working on trying to, because it's an alpha. The idea of the alpha is that you're trying to testing, devs need testing in order to help them improve the game. So I'm biting the bullet on all of the content that I want not being there, and respecting the fact that they need to put the foundations of an economy in before the aspects that I like within the game could work, because they're economy driven. There needs to be an economy and a basis there of a model of a game and a social structure before I can be hired to escort things or blow things or perform reconnaissance and stuff like that. So I'm literally I'm content wise for me, that's why 3.5 for me is I'm like a kid in a fucking candy shop. 3.5, because there's so much stuff coming in there that starts to let me see things that I'm waiting for in StarCitizen. I'm really excited about that stuff. I've been waiting for fucking ages.
Do you know what, Kai? Do you know what's hilarious? Do you know how many streamers I hear talk about the next patch be the one that they fucking are super excited for? I think every streamer says exactly those. I've heard that so many times.
Not from me. That's the difference.
The patch that I'm really going to
never from me. I've always looked. I've already ever looked at half of the patches and gone, okay, yeah, it's fine. I will do X, Y, and Z. But looking at the stuff that's in 3.5, that's genuinely the first patch in a long time where I've gone, I'm really excited about this. I want them. This is the one I want. This is the all of the patches. This is the one I actually need.
I'm gonna spit in Madness's eye.
Don't ruin my fucking Christmas madness, mate.
I'm gonna spit in Madness's eye and say, Madness, are you saying that you don't look forward to every patch?
Oh, he's low blow straight to the nutters.
Oh, yeah. I know I look forward to every patch.
Of course. I look forward to, like, this is one of the big things I think for the year. This is kind of one of my big things. Was the biggest thing that happened this year, I think, for us is CRG delivered 4 patches plus half a patch, so kind of 4.5 patches, I suppose, in a year. Plus they did a CitizenCon event for us, which we can argue that was good or not. And they're managed to continue to do the ATV. They introduced a new show called Call the Devs. They did all these things within the year. Now the big thing for me is they delivered 4 content patches for us this year. Last year they didn't do that. This year they delivered 4. They stuck to it. They delivered it, whether it was a huge amount or not. But actually, this is one of the reason why I'm going through the year and the patches, just some of the notes and some of the key things, because I want people to we sometimes just forget how much stuff has happened this year. Not a lot of people, especially if you're new to the game as well. We had a lot of new people come into the game and they don't necessarily know from the previous patch to now and all the things that have happened in the thing. So for us, we went through 3.1. We had the other thing in 3.1 that people forget is the character customization came in. The ability, that first thing that we always see every time there's a bloody patch and you keep going to the same character and going, for fuck's sake, does anyone else change their character? Because I don't. I just go to the same one. I go him, hair done.
I do.
Do you change it every time? Tweak the haircut. Occasionally tweak the haircut because they don't have.
I don't change it every time, but I do change it every time we have to. I have a certain character that I play. Yeah. Which will completely change when they add the new DNA system. But we'll see. We'll talk about that later.
No, well, that's there's some good stuff coming.
Yeah, much later, 6 months.
And then it was clear at this point the FPS issues. This is the point that I think when 3.1 came out, and because it was still crashing, it was still bugging. I think at this point, I think it was very clear for the community that object container streaming and also for CIG how important object containing and bind culling was going to be. I think at this point, really, I think between 3.0 and 3.1, it was very clear that needed to come in. Because we're all just like, the frames are in the toilet, the game is broken all over the place. We need to get some performance into this because it's not looking good. I mean, combat pilots were dropping off left, right, and center because the combat model was just terrible. We couldn't hit anything. Turrets, you couldn't hit anything still. You know, the hilarious thing is if you look through the patch notes, and I think I made a note here. I think I made a note on the turret system. I think there's a note saying turret systems being improved, turret systems being improved, turret systems being improved. And at the note of it, I'm going, what the fuck was this team doing for a year? I think is one of my notes.
Wasn't it first of all we fixed the turrets,
Yeah,
and then as soon as it
yeah.
gets in game, it's like turret system needs improving. Oh no, we fixed the turrets. No, turret systems.
Listen. Grav was fixed in 3. It was done in 3.0, and turrets were done in 3.1. What are you guys complaining about?
Yeah.
Well,
And combat was done in Arena Commander 1.0.
Paul, if you're doing this under duress, blink quickly and we will send out.
he's being very British with his sarcasm right now, which I'm very proud of him.
To be fair, you're nailing satire like a boss.
I'm very proud.
And I get to say that to an American.
I am very, very proud. And so 3.1. So that was, I think everyone realized at that point, OCS is like, everyone was screaming for it in the community, I think, at this point, bind culling, and it was becoming a mountain of a thing. And then in 3.2, we get new heavy armor. We get legacy gear arrives, plus all the old armor got ditched off, the ones that we liked with the red, and then they bring in the new one. I like it. It's actually grown on me, a lot of that stuff. It actually looks quite cool. 3.2, turrets were improved. My note, they still sucked. Improved the overall quantum travel experience. Again, people don't understand, they upgraded the graphics, the audio, and the functionality. So again, the visuals were constantly being improved in the game as well. So people look at the game now and go, oh my God, that's beautiful. Well, actually, yeah, because they've made it more and more beautiful, and they continue to make it more beautiful. The polish is...
I remember when something they did, was the... and you'd get the next patch and like the moons look different, and it'd be like, oh damn, they've worked on that. That's amazing. Yeah.
3.2 had the was the current system that came in, because before 3.2 it was just flip and go. Right? You would just like point it at a direction, you'd hit your quantum beacon or your quantum go. Like with the current system where you had to like turn it on, find it, and then toggle the like spool and then go when it was done. That was in 3.2, which is actually a holdback from the old 2.4 or whatever, where you would have to turn on your system, find out where you're going, and then hit activate towards that system. So
here's one for you. I was discussing. Sorry. You'd finish.
No, I was just saying, like, that completely changed. So.
Yeah, that was big. I remember that was a pain in the ass though, because it slowed everything down when the new quantum thing. I remember this whole spooling up thing happened, and I remember just being super frustrated because and it didn't. And all the points came in, and the map didn't work particularly well. I mean, it was a real. People don't realize it was really messy, and I remember just. Again, it added more time to the experience. If that was still the way it was then, now with all the additional times, I think I would shoot someone. You couldn't jump to the other side of the planet as well. People don't remember. Like, you had to go to the OM markers all the time. It was like OM1, OM2 to get around to the other side of the planet, And then they introduced, I don't know where they introduced it, I haven't got it notes, but they introduced the ability to jump to the backside. You'd choose your target and it would fly you around, which is amazing.
Jump to the back.
So good. So good.
It always turns me upside down to the planet logo. Upside down, and it just curves me around.
One of the biggest things in 3.2, again, this is 3.2, so we already had 3.0, 3.1, 3.2 was... This was the thing for me, which was again a revelation and changed the thing, is the kiosks. We got kiosks in the shops. The ability to, rather than going up to the individual items and buying 20 undersuits by mistake, you could then go and spend all of your money by mistake by pressing the max button on the right-hand side and accidentally buying
550,000 magazines.
What was it you did manage to do? What did you buy? You spent all your money on...
I think med pens. I think I bought
med pens.
Yeah.
Bought every single med pen that exists.
I got a question for you. This is the question I asked Detox. Do you think eventually, when StarCitizen launches and everything is just smooth, bugs are relatively few, crashes are fewer still, that annually we'll all get together in one instance and we'll all just Alt F4 at the same time, so we can replicate the glory days when we had stuff to complain about.
I don't need to do it. Just stay there long enough. I'll shoot you, and then you can replicate your It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, it'll be like, let's all have a mass meetup, and then Madness will just murder you all.
Just
Group Alt F4.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem about the group Alt F4 is that you'll Alt F4 and then you'll get logged back into the game and you'll log back directly into the way you were before.
Well,
Nothing will have changed.
That's all right. It's just a crash.
There'll be a little note on your windscreen from me.
50% of the time now.
There'll be a little note on the windscreen from me when you wake up. That's where it will change. That will.
No, it will come through with a reclaimer just hoover up the ship's smallest head.
That's what you want to do. So then we had, the kiosk came in, the economy, then mining came in. 3.2 mining came in. The planetary body's mining has arrived. And I have to say, it was a challenge. It was hard. It's not easy. And, it was like, again, this is another example of where we realized again the object container stream we needed to come and we needed to improve performance because that little fucker kept bouncing around like crazy and you kept blowing up rocks. Ships you kept dying and, but mining, everyone was like mining. We were all used to just to click and do, and it's pretty boring. And then all of a sudden, here's this mining that's actually hard and challenging and required you to really focus. And it's almost like, in a way, like combat. It's like sometimes you'd win, sometimes you'd lose, and I found it difficult. I have to say, it wasn't for me. And I wonder how other people feel because I sometimes sense that people who play the mining type of gameplay, I think kind of like to be that Euro Trucker style where they just kind of get into the thing and just kind of cruise along and don't really want the risk. The only risk they want maybe is if they nod off and the truck moves off to the side, that's kind of the risk they want. And I feel that maybe, seriously, I do worry that perhaps they made it a little bit too difficult and it might not be as good a mining experience as they really want. It's a bit like Henry Ford said, ask people what they really want. They tell you they want a faster horse rather than a car. It's that whole kind of, they say they want it to be really in-depth and complicated and all the rest of it, but actually, maybe they don't. That's my thought on it. Just a thought. What do you think?
I don't know. I think they actually...
anyone moan about it.
People love the mining system.
No, I think they do like it, yeah. But I just think, do you think it's too hard for the average miner?
No. See, I think you've got the same problem I've got. This is the fact that I can't understand. I understand there's people out there that like to do different things, and I accept and understand that. But for me, it's constantly got to be high octane, boom, boom. Otherwise, I'm bored as fuck. So for me, running freight and mining rocks is just the equivalent of putting my nutsack on a block and then hitting it with a hammer over and over again. Okay. Basically. That's what I get from that. I've tried it just to understand the process and everything, but it would bore the fuck out of me. I couldn't do it. But I know, like UOG said in chat, his thing is he wants to do mining. He's not overly interested in combat. I understand that there are people that are wired like that, but I don't understand the people that are wired like that.
Okay,
but that's why
for me, I'm one of those.
Interesting.
I'm one of those crazy people where if I grouped up, I could do mining if I had a group of 5 people and everyone was doing a job and we're all like, hey, we're going to sort.
Oh, lost you, Paul.
Well, yeah, audio is cut.
Try again. You might hit the wire, maybe.
It's excitement. I like it. I'm not the only person that does that.
Wait for it.
Drum roll.
Pull a wire.
Okay, so can you hear me still?
You're back.
Yeah. Okay, go. Yeah, my voice mod crashed. That's all it was. So
my face on stream.
But what I was saying is, if I'm grouping up in a group to do something, it's fun, and I think that's what most people want. Because like I've done mining in Eve, I've done mining in other space sims, or not Eve, but in Elite and in other space sims, and it's boring. You just shoot rocks and then try to go collect the rocks. It's Euro Truck Sim, and I think what most people want is something that's more than just Euro Truck Sim. Adding more complexity, things like having someone whose job is to sit there and sort, like, oh, rock, good, good. And even you don't even have to have someone who's actually sorting it by hand, but like someone who's just like who's sitting there. I did
that for a job once.
Shift. Like they have to like.
For fun. Were you a prisoner?
But I mean, like that, the idea of like saying, oh, these are rocks. I have to sift through it, but you have to do it in such a fast such a fast way that you just got to keep things going. And then having someone who can sit there and figure out the right formula or the right like balances to do certain
So you mean more
metals and stuff like
more
that.
complicated? You actually want it more
stuff
complicated.
to do.
More
More
stuff
stuff
to
to do.
I think what Madness is saying is the people that want the trucking easier type gameplay, they'll go and do that. Trucking, I think mining is a different ballgame.
Beast. That's fine. That's what we asked the question.
The lazy trucking thing is still going to be reserved for trucking. I can't see how they can make that much more complicated, really.
But like Cupan, what Cupan's saying about some like higher density rocks that might require multiple mining vessels to break. I like that idea. That's kind of cool, especially if you all have to focus lasers on different points, so it requires coordination to be able to
as Nog is pointing out, because it's another game that we played a lot of. I know you played a little bit of it, Miz, which is Life is Feudal. Yeah. Life is Feudal. Its complexity added fun. The only problem about Life is Feudal is that it became so complex that it became a job. And
I saw you play,
and no one wants to do that.
I watched you stream that, Paul. I nearly died.
Yes.
I went and watched you. I watched you digging. I watched you digging mud in the morning. I went away. I came back a couple hours later, and he was still digging the same fucking pile of mud.
I can't do that, Paul.
I was like, is this seriously the game, Paul? And he's like, yeah. Yes. And I'm like, look at our amazing building. And I looked at it, and I was like, how long did that take if you're digging the mud? I was like, oh,
a long time. But that's the thing is, you
like
want
grind games. I hate grind.
You want something that'll have achievements. You want something that'll give you, like with mining or even with like trading, you want something that will give you achievement. So like make you feel like you've done something. But at the same time, you don't want something that takes you 17 hours and someone takes 2 minutes to figure out how to destroy. So something like with trading, you could easily do something like, oh, I figured out this long haul trade route where we can make more money. But in the meantime, I'm going to also have to like constantly swap out the coolers because we're going to constantly overheat as we're going along, or we need to plot out the right like places to stop to get gas. And then we also have to plot out like, oh, this section right here is more dangerous. So we might need to hire some mercenaries. Like there's a lot of planning involved with trading, whereas like mining is little planning involved in the entire game, but like trading's like challenge is to plan and execute properly. And there's a certain number of people who like that just because it's stuff to do. If you're engaged in it, it doesn't matter what it is.
Okay,
whether you're bashing people's heads in with rocks or
I just think I'm like Madness is basically it's like just point me at someone who want that one dead. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't always. I mean, I want to do farming. My big thing is in the game is like, again, I choose different games for different things. I would like to do farming and I'd like to do combat. That's kind of the two things I really want to do in the game. One to chill out and one to think. That's kind of what I want to do. No, I don't want. That's too much. But anyway, sorry, because I got a lot. I want to just keep rolling. We're going to keep rolling and get
a long time to go
through the year. We've got what was it? 3 mining arrived, so that was pretty dope. And then we have the ability to team up with identified friends and travel in groups and coordinates and share locations, information, and chat with different groups. Pretty cool. That was a new kind of thing. Did it work? I think it worked pretty good on the whole. Generally, to start off, I think it's got broken as we've gone along.
It was the 4th time they've added that. It's the 5th. Finally, they actually overhauled it so it worked.
Yeah, but it's broken. Broke it a bit recently again. The whole joining up with friends, but that's by and by. Yeah, it happens when you add more complexity, I think, and things. It's clearly to me, it's like it's like lots of tiny jigsaw pieces and wire. I think it's like wires. I always imagine it like my physical mind is like wires, like my desk. You just leave them there and somehow they manage to get themselves tangled up. I think I can imagine that's what code's like. It's like you just leave it there and then all of a sudden it gets tangled up. And someone's got to sort it out.
Time frame, everything.
Yeah, it gets fucked up.
Simply doing something else. Really, like trivial. So yeah.
Quantum linking, jumping became together. The improved visual functionality and the usability of the Mobiglass. So again, one of the things that they've constantly done throughout the year is they've improved the Mobiglass. Reading it, seeing it, using it, they've generally improved it. I mean, the ability, I think, to repair and things on that is all very good as well. They improved, this is the bit that I find hilarious. This is the bit that I was realizing, improved AI flight behavior and actions. This one was one of the funniest ones I've seen because this one kept coming up in almost every single patch note.
I was going to say that's in 3, 4, 3, 5, and 6.
Yeah. It's just hilarious.
It's just hilariously broken.
Yeah.
It's so...
Yeah.
That's why they're upgrading it every patch. It's like
to be more broken.
What are they
It's
doing?
the balance, though. Again, it's that balance between making AI there to
AI just does this.
immersiveness versus AI that one-shots you
would
when
love-
you
I
can't
would
even
love-
see them.
I would love one-shot AIs at this point
Do you play
compared to
much
Brain
Tarkov?
Dead.
Do you play
Yes,
much Tarkov?
I play a lot of Arma too, where like they'll snipe you from like 700 meters with an AK-47. You know,
You're like, mate, that gun doesn't even have that range. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that right
So
now
bad.
than the current Gladiuses, which are just like
I just love them with the Gladius
I'm
goes
gonna
past you
shoot soon, I'm
and then
gonna shoot
somehow
soon, I'll
shoots behind itself through itself and still manage. Like you kind of go, oh, so they do have aimbots working in game then. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, and then he added a whole lot of games. We had a gun, sorry, we had the scalpel, and we had a load of other things. So 3.2 actually had some really cool kind of pieces. It had a big chunk of kind of gameplay. It had a good chunk of improvements. It was a big patch actually. Then we get the beast. So 3.2, although it wasn't great, the problem was it still didn't have object container streaming. We still didn't have the FPS. It was still.
I will
trash.
say 3.2 was the first patch that we actually had stable 25 to 30 frames per second for most.
Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah,
It was
'cause
the
it did
first
do
time we
some
actually
back-end
had
stuff.
since 3.0 like back to 263 levels.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as
frames.
3.0. Yeah, they had improved, hadn't they? They had improved the overall. It felt better, but
And stability. It
Yeah.
didn't crash it.
yeah,
So.
yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. Then we get 3.3 comes in. We get new mission giver Rico implementing the base version of the rest stops comes in, and then the big bang really, which was object container streaming and bind culling. 60 FPS was suddenly a thing, legit. Like not just like a random thing you saw on someone's streamer's channel that was obviously offline. It was, it was like no and above, and I was getting it.
Lag ski was still got a lag ski.
Yeah,
So,
it still dropped to 30, but
Yeah.
20s and 30s. But it was like 20, 30s at lag ski, which was getting 5 and 10
yeah, before.
beforehand.
That was one of the biggest things I had when switching over to streaming All Stars. The inconsistency in the frame rate, quite a headaches. At least I think it was that because it went away. It always coincided with when I was streaming StarCitizen, and it went away after a while. I'm presuming I adjusted to it, but that consistent frame rate made quite a sizable difference in me being.
I think that's one of the.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the hugest changes in the past year. That just being able to allow so many people to play the game and have a decent frame rate has made the game more playable. Because I mean, we could all log in and do stuff, but when you're desyncing and you're lagging and the frames are terrible, it's like most people gave up. You needed that decent frame rate for a lot of people to come back and start playing.
I think it takes a certain caliber of person to play an game and take it in their stride, and it takes an even more of a specific caliber of person to do it in a game that's like this, which is not uncommon for you to have crashes in the play sitting, and prior to that with like those horrendous frame rates despite how good your computer was. It's a testament to, I think, anybody that basically didn't
no
piss
idea
off
what you
during that
mean.
time frame.
I think you become a bit
Being
of
an
a
Evoca
dad.
party member, I have no idea
Miss-
what you mean by that.
Miss Blink, if you need help.
Star Citizen is like a child that's kind of going, and we're kind of all its fathers, in a way. Sounds kind of a bit
It's a
creepy.
bit weird.
Sounds a bit creepy, but that's kind of like how we are in a way. We're all kind
I'm
of
playing some
Yeah,
games
it's,
right
like,
now.
it's like Twins, the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like all the dads. That's kind of what we are, And
Hey, Miss, I think you're
unfortunately,
closer to madness. Can you go take the moose milk?
unfortunately, it's been Danny DeVito for a while. All the bad genes, but now we're slowly getting the Arnie genes are coming in. So we had that. So that came in. So that was massive, and I think we can't really stress that. I think everyone knows how good and important that was. They added something else which was really exciting and crazy. They added the voice over IP, and the FOIP system came in again. One of those crazy things that was added to the game, which is pretty freaking cool.
Is that free from mince?
Free mince pies.
Mince pie is free from the actual filling.
That might be free from pies, I'm not lie.
So we got scramble races. We got implemented FPS AI for combat missions. They added the ability for extract minerals for asteroids. Improved surface mining on planetary bodies. Extended ping scanning, which is again a cool new feature that I didn't realize we had it in ships before, and someone said to me, "Oh, you can scan in ships and find out information and shit." I was like, "Fuck, that's so cool."
I find that one out the
It
interest.
works with mining, kind of. So,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
3.2 they added a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah, and then 3.3 it just seemed to be better, and improvements to kiosks and improved to flight AI behavior again. And then I might quote on the end of this, "What the fuck has this team done all year?" Seriously. But that's just me. But the FPS combat AI search and kill was in. So 3.3 was like incredible, and that's when I really noticed. I really was like, because I always said about the halfway point, I was going to say it's too early to really judge CIG too harshly. I was very salty, and everyone remembers me about the flight model, about Gladius, about all sorts of things. I was very upset because the thing I loved the most in CIG I wasn't able to do anymore to the extent, and it was burning me hard, and I was very disappointed. But anyway, and then 3.3 comes out, and then I could hit things again, my ship, because the frames were good enough. Granted, they kept putting band-aids on the ESP to try and make it work, and I think the guy he was doing, I forget his name now, who did he's left CIG now. He was originally did the whole flight model and 6 degrees and stuff, and there's a new guys now are taking over, so we'll see what that's like. And then we get 3.35, the first half patch, which was crazy. We get mission givers, 2 new mission givers. We get a Hurston. The first planet, and the big one, we get to buy ships in fucking game. Oh my goodness, we get a full game loop now. All those haters and StarCitizen, those scam, it's a scam, blah 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 blah. You can shut up now, because when that question is asked, can you buy ships in game? Yes, done. No more.
It's expensive.
Yeah,
but
you can do it.
And 3.4 is actually answering that question now, which is like, before people were like, yeah, you get 300 UEC per delivery mission. You get 2,000 to 3,000 now per delivery mission. So even if you just do delivery missions, you could get a ship within a couple of weeks.
I'm going to have to get the freelancer max again.
Which is huge. Which was huge. For me, that was a huge thing, because I've been saying all year, like, when are they going to give us ships in game? They keep telling us it was going to be in 3.0. Then it was 3.1. Then it was 3.2.
So it was 2.6. Then it was 3.0.
Yeah,
then
it
was
See, you're all taking
3.
the wrong approach to this. You're all like, how can I legally and justifiably and acquire myself a spaceship? You should just what I do. Fucking borrow them. I have been borrowing spaceships since day one of StarCitizen. The first video on my YouTube channel is me borrowing a spaceship.
They made it harder and harder to borrow.
You just gotta get better. What happened?
They made them harder and harder.
They
Started to lock. They improved the locking devices on them.
UAG rammed a cat a couple of weeks back and accidentally ended up inside it. So I took the opportunity to eject from the UAG spaceship inside said cat, and then made my way to the bridge, waited for him to jump out of the safe. I think it might have been that French chap you were on about earlier. I think because he was a French streamer, and UAG said that he went and found his stream after. So
how appropriate the British streamers are trolling the French streamers.
But it was beautiful.
They're going to troll anybody.
There was a moment of moral question, and it's like, this is an accident.
I blame CIG.
Or is it a gift from God?
CIG are just putting us together on purpose. I think Chris is doing and then we have
I can't wait until the entirety of this 100 Years War is reenacted in StarCitizen.
It will happen. And then we got Lawville, we got Hurston, we got Moons, we've got new escort meetings at 3.5, and then we move into 3.4. 3.4 has been amazing already from what I'm playing. We now have turrets are now actually able to work. They track the animation on the radar, finally shows you what direction your fucking turret is facing, which is really, really helpful. It's a small thing, but it's amazing. Nice. The creation and implementation of new characters. Again, we've got 2 more mission givers, a whole new load of missions. I don't know if the shipjacker armor is in yet. I haven't seen it. Is it in yet, guys?
I don't know. Was there a patch today?
I don't know. They're still not here yet, but we got. I don't think it is.
If they patch it, they usually patch it in about 2 hours. But I don't know if they've announced that it's going to be or not. So
we've got Lawville business districts come along, more improvements to minings and stuff, improved patrol missions, which I've noticed. Just missions in general, we've got more of them. Whether they're broken or not, we just got more of them.
I was walking through that novel district the other day. There was a massive ion cannon just in the way. Just like out of the display cabinet.
Oh yeah, they fall. Yeah, they fall down. They fall down.
Lads, can we just is anyone using this? Can we just like, no one
Walk
seems
it
to
out.
want this. Yeah. We tried. Unfortunately, no.
Not a gun in your pocket.
unfortunately.
He's just happy to see me.
Patch is added, so ship jacket armor has been added. So ship jacket armor, I will be all over because I'm excited to go check that out. So that's exciting. George.
They also
Thank you
it
for
also says they
confirming.
have the ability to rent ship items, but I haven't seen that. I still don't see the ability to rent ships in game either. I haven't seen that yet.
You can rent them in. It's in Arena Commander. It's not in.
Yeah, but not in
the game yet. No, but I think it's just
Yeah.
they added that back into Arena Commander, I believe, and the ability to wreck ships through Arena Commander.
Yeah.
And you can. I think you can use the weapons. Someone said to me you can use the weapons as well now in the persistent universe that you wreck as well. So
That
I don't
would
know.
work. It used to be an issue.
My biggest problem with the armor is StarCitizen
It's a bit weird.
to wear.
We
So-
missed most of what you said.
We did miss it.
Oh.
We did miss what you said.
I said the biggest problem I've got with the armor within Stars so much. Can't
Well,
decide which one I want to wear.
It's just cutting you out every time you say the biggest problem I have with the armor in Star Citizen is
That there is too much
Yeah.
nice armor, so I can't decide
Oh,
which
you can't
one to
decide.
wear.
It's too much, yeah. That's okay. You just choose,
Discord.
mix it up. Just get it all, and then you just mix it up whatever you
Constantly just change through it, like 17 cost changes given any.
feel. Okay, and then
Yeah,
I'm gonna
That's how I play most MMOs.
because I'm having to wrap, and I'm not running just
Sorry.
because I just running. I'm running because I want to get through this.
No,
and a
no,
lot of cool
that's
stuff
fair.
to
That's
get through.
fair.
And we had some good chats, but I just want to run through. So again, 2018, the ships. I'm going to give you the rundown of the ships. If I miss anything, please tell me if I've missed anything. I'm not going to count variants. Fuck variants, we'll be here forever on them. I'm just going to kind of give you an idea. Dragonfly, Noxes, Cyclones, the new Cutlass rework. I believe was that 2.6 or was that 3.0? Was that 3.0?
That was 3.0.
Rework 600i, new Mustang, Freelancer variants, you can count them all, whatever. The Razor, the Eclipse Bomber, the Hammerhead, the Reclaimer, the Phoenix, the Hawk, the Aquila, the Terrapin, the Blade, the Aegis Avenger, the Stalker, the Hurricane, the Valkyrie. What have I missed? Did I say the Arrow?
I think that's it.
Did I include the Arrow? Yeah, I did include the Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you got it. Most of it.
I think so. I think that was most of them. That is and those are. Oh, by the way, those are the flyable ones. That's not the concept ones. I didn't include the concept ones because I don't count them. There are concept ones. You can buy them. It's fine. We all know you can go find them wherever. But that, what a year for. And also, some of those ships were flyable instantaneously. The first time you've ever had, I think, 3 ships. This year. Arrow, Valkyrie, and what was the other one? I'm sure there was another one.
The Valkyrie was the first. That's what they said, wasn't it? This is the first straight to games. There's only 2.
Then the Arrow.
Was it just 2?
Yeah, that was it.
Was it just 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was 3.
The Hawk.
Oh, Hawk, yeah, 3. No, the Hawk was already
No,
Hawk
the
was
Hawk
concept.
Was playable, but
No, you could buy it before.
Another one. Did you miss that one off? I think
No, he had it on there.
Hawk's on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm all there, all over it, boys. And then like I said, the only cons for me for the year, it's very simple. The only cons, the only cons for me, and you guys can tell if you had anything negatives for you. There was a few things besides issues with the game, but the only thing the main one for me was the paywall idea that Chris had for the CitizenCon thing that he wanted to push out.
CitizenCon.
Okay.
I'm going to
say
thing.
that I was upset with that, but the only reason why I was upset with that is because Chris came back later and said that this is the reason why he's doing it, which felt very. The problem is we don't know if that was true.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's true, maybe it's not.
And then do it if that's the reason behind it. Don't say it afterwards.
Because it could have been, and the other major issue I had was his attitude towards it, which was like that he was upset with us.
Yeah, screw you.
Yeah, anti-YouTubers. That was the thing I didn't like.
Because you made it shit.
YouTubers are pushing out content too quickly, so I have to, do this to try. I was like, dude, you need to get good.
There was a lot of like
that wasn't good.
prodding at the community.
You mean like the YouTubers that sell your game for you on a daily basis?
The streamers and YouTubers which basically promote your game.
Hang on, how many referrals has those top 5 got? I don't think they're really the people you should be able to go at.
that was my only issue was more of his attitude than anything. He corrected it and he changed it, and I think in the future, I hope CIG learns from this and knows that you can trust the community by saying, hey, this is what we're doing because of this. If you give us a good reason, we're not going to get angry. Instead of just saying, I don't know, all war bond sales are now the only ones you can get LTI ships on. Because that was just kind of out of nowhere with no announcement and kind of pissed off a lot of people.
I'm just making. For anyone says all the salt crazy, it did not. There's lies. I only sold 4 salts: the Gladius, the paywall, the flight model, with all the missiles and EMP and flight model and everything is broken with the combat, and the war bond.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Those are the only 4 real things when I actually. Oh, and 5 was the no ships in game, I suppose.
And the paywall was reversed, which was
paywall was reversed. Ships in game we get.
With ships, the ship buying ships in game we got.
The Gladius cockpit they fixed to a degree.
They fixed.
It's not brilliant, but it's acceptable.
Yeah, and combat they're fixing it. Which is nice. So
we'll wait.
Like we've seen them progress on it. So
the lack of females.
Yeah, but they still put it on the roadmap, which was nice.
The thing that knocks me off is the way they always change free-fly events with patches. I never get why they do them so close together. That for me is like
people think that's a good idea, but I think normally that's when it's pretty buggy, so it's not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, I think it's awful. I think it's fucking like, just
no, 3-2 was
to
good.
put it in.
It
was better than previously, but there's a lot of people not knowing how to get around and do things because they're new players. Nobody's released content yet for it because it's only been out days. So there's a lot.
3-2 was good because 3-2 released it's free flight well after 3.2 was actually released as a patch.
Yeah.
Because that was and one thing that was notable on 3.2 was that it was the first time that you had no significant performance decrease because of the free flight. There were full servers and people were being able to play at 30 FPS, which was impressive. And now the last free flight had issues, but no significant performance drops because of the free flight.
No, I mentioned
still got
last
70.
week in some of the reviews. You look at the comments underneath. It was surprising to see, like, because normally you just read it, it's just full of salt and shit. But the last free flight had a ton of actually really positive people going, "Oh, this actually plays quite well, and the frames are really good."
But that's because of the really low bar that most people established, because a lot of people come back, isn't it? The new changes this year.
How low can your bar be?
If they'd have allowed a little bit more time, like they did in 3.2, to wind the bugs out and allow people to drop, because there's so much content coming out now, post that have explained things for people.
Do you normally get a free flight around Christmas as well?
We usually get around anniversary sale and Gamescom.
Is the Christmas sale happening?
We don't know.
Yeah.
No, I think it just so happened that because they've worked out their free flights. I just think it so happened that they dropped the patch right before the free flight, because it usually doesn't. If they followed their patch scheduling, 3.5.
The only devs that did.
Yeah. But if they followed their patch scheduling properly, like in terms of like when they were supposed to release when they originally, then like for instance, they usually do a free flight around like the weekend around Valentine's Day. They've done that in the past. So if they still do that next year for February 14th, that'll be right in the middle between 3.4 and 3.5. So you may have some hot patches, but a lot more people might come in during that.
I think part of the reason they want it nearer, I mean, they may have done it near a patch or want it near a patch, is because there's obviously the attention rises. That even the shitty magazines all post everywhere. Oh, this patch has dropped and it's in 200 million later, and they've dropped this, and 200 million later, and you can now wear armor. Woo! So it gets a lot more attention around a patch. So it's like, well, that's a good time to bring people in, even though it's not gameplay wise necessarily, but it's a good time when people are actually looking at it.
My point isn't that he didn't do well. I wonder how much better they could have done. Bugs though, because a lot of the streamers that I watch that don't normally do StarCitizen came in off the back of that free, and the vast majority have said, I've had a really good time with that. But at the same time, I watched them have a lot of issues, and they had the support.
But would they have come in on the free flight if it had been halfway through the patch? If that had gone out of the media and the patch had already been out for a month or something, like, would they then have gone, oh, I've heard there's a free flight? They may not have even heard of the free flight.
I think the people I'm referring to are part of a stream community, of some other Star streamers who sort of dragged them in. So I don't know. That's maybe not, maybe so. I don't know. That's probably not.
That's what I mean. I think you might get less notice.
Yeah,
being
so
in the
it's a tough one, but their resounding response is, although there's a lot of feedback, like ships not firing back, boxes disappearing, missions not being able to finish, they're still consistently coming back, and they've got the itch and they want to play. So it's obviously done well. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
those issues
on the chips.
And those issues are minor compared to like being able to not play the game without your eyes bleeding because the FPS is so low. That's a problem. That's a problem that you can't even stream it. But having derpy AI and boxes disappearing, that's not so much of a problem so long as you can make your own fun. And as the game is progressing to 3.5 and 3.6, we're going to see that it increase. And as a result, we're going to hopefully see more people coming back and staying.
Definitely two types of people in Star Citizen. The people are those that can make their own fun, the stuff that's there, and those that need the missions to be in place. And I think from my experience so far in seeing it from the community bounce back in chats and things, it's a reasonably even split. That there are a lot of people out there like myself. I can just, if a mission bugs out and fucking fucks up, it doesn't matter as long as I've had fun doing it. You don't care. But then even with some of my viewers will turn around and they get mildly salty because the mission, they wanted to see the end of the mission, box has vanished, so they get a little bit like raggy because not in me obviously, they get a little bit raggy because they've been denied the end of that mission, which is what they were waiting for. So I can see there's definitely a split down the middle. Was what reacting for sure.
Do you want to, Madness? Do you want to continue to talk about 3.5?
Sorry, Madness.
No. I think that was just making a point on, like I said, that was all really the main salt I had for the year. So in terms of, like I said, the CIG have such a hard word to say. CIG have finished so strong. All of the things that I really, apart from the flight model, which we'll wait and see, and I'm still concerned about, but we'll wait and see. At the end of the day, I theory craft around it. I talk about some of the things based on the language that CIG says, but until you actually get your hands on it, I can't.
And I will continue to say, as someone who played a ton of Arena Commander and enjoy combat flight, I am looking forward to the flight model, what I saw at CitizenCon.
You've got a hands-on experience with it, didn't you?
I got a hands-on experience with it at CitizenCon, and a couple of the other combat pilots did, and a lot of them came away with the same kind of idea, which was they're cautiously optimistic, but they want to see it on their own control panels, their own control setups, and their own comfort of their own homes to see what it feels like.
But that's good. That fills me with confidence generally, because I think the only reason I know that this is clearly being pushed back again a little bit further is that internally they obviously knew that it's not quite ready, and I think they really don't want this to come out the gates and get a ton of salt, bit like kind of a 3.0 experience. I think they really want this flight model to come out and be very well polished and to be really well executed and work well. I get that feeling with this one. I think they really want this to be smooth as they can possibly be. So
they need it. They need a win, like a solid off the bat win, rather than it being.
Well, mining was pretty good. They need a mining experience, I think, on this one. They need that type of delivery. They don't need a Gravlev delivery. Let's put it that way. They do not want a Gravlev delivery. They do not want that for flight model. That would be the worst thing. I think that could probably happen because they've got momentum at the moment now. Like we're talking about it with streaming and people, they've got momentum. People are getting used to. You've got a lot of new people coming in and getting used to a current flight model, and you're about to completely change it. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure this works. That's just my thoughts on that. And anyway, so 3.5 coming in. We have DNA face coming. We have female characters coming. We have salvage coming next year as a big one. I think there'll be 2 main gameplay mechanics will come in next year. Like this year, we had 2. Next year, we'll have 2. We have the new 300i coming in. We have the largest capital ship about to arrive at 200 meters. The 890 jump will be with us next year. You have my Banu Defender is coming very soon, which I'm very excited about. Another alien vehicle, which I'm very cool about.
No one else is.
No one else gets it. Just for me.
Just my Banu.
We have refactoring. This is a little subtle one they've added. Refactoring of the lobby session management ready for server meshing. No idea much about server meshing. I know a little bit, but this is pretty freaking cool stuff.
They've said in the past that's going to be the increase in player count. That's the stage that they want to be. If it works, together, they're going to increase the numbers of players per server.
Ooh,
so
yeah, very exciting.
I mean,
very exciting.
If it works the way I think it does, which I'm probably wrong, then we may see something like you pop into like a US server and it's just all of the US servers are in one thing, or you have like a handful, you have like 5 US servers filtering out all the players, and then, you know, 1 EU server or 2 AUS servers, just however many, but like smaller numbers rather than having 50 larger chunks of servers. That may not be this patch, it may be a future patch, but that's what I'm hoping. I want to hear more about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So next year promises to be as good, if not better, than this one. I would say easily better. I think they've got a great framework to build.
I mean, technically, like we say every year, next year is going to be the great one. But I suppose
this year was great.
It is. But they are adding more and more to each show, so every year it will be a better one because you've got what you got the year before plus the new stuff. So technically, we're right.
But like last year was only slightly better than the year before, and the year before, I would say 2016 was probably the worst.
Yeah,
or 2017 was the worst year.
People say it was the worst year for content because obviously they hid thing, but then people don't realize. I think probably behind the scenes they had so much stuff to probably get sorted. They had all the Delta patch to come in. They had to sort out all the item 2.0. They had to redo a huge amount of code. I think they completely changed the game. So 2017 for us in terms of content was sucky, but for the game was really good because they probably put like that foundation down for what we're enjoying now. So yeah, it sucks, but it had to happen.
Yeah,
2030 first, we had no game.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have a little baby, so I'm gonna go sort. If anyone wants to talk about anything else, I have to have a baby. No, I have to go get my son because it's feeding time for him, and the wife just tapped me and said, "Get your fucking ass over to get the baby fed." There is, if anyone else wants to talk about anything, you can. You can talk about the female model system whilst I'm on female models. We can end it there. I'm happy to carry on if anyone wants to talk about anything briefly. You carry on, but I think we're all in agreement that it's been a very good end to the year.
I would go so far as to say this is the best year since 2012.
I never wasn't around since then.
I definitely.
Well, 2012 was the year that they founded, and it was all the hype and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's been going down slowly since then. It's had some peaks, but it's never been, you know, as
this
good
last
as 2012.
quarter has definitely put it straight up there. Like, you know, rocketing.
It's because they've tangibly released things that they've been. There's all of the stuff.
Well,
it's plates, aren't they? They're juggling loads of plates.
Yeah.
Everything is tweaked at the same time.
Well, for a long time, they've said they're like working on tools to make stuff better, and it's like tools aren't interesting and fun, but that's exactly what they were doing. And then the tools have been implemented, which allows the rest of the shit to work.
Yeah. And they're not even done with the tools yet. They're still working on the tools, but the tools they have already, they're building stuff with it, and making it better as they go.
I don't even know what to make with that.
Don't
forget to pump LBOM.
Can we remotely kill Madness's stream?
That's what I was going to say. We can't actually end the stream now because he's the fucking numpty hosting.
It's okay. I'm right here.
Everybody, thank you.
It's okay. I'm right here. I haven't gone that far. I just walked away briefly.
I bet you're hot in that jumper, man.
Seriously, it's ridiculously hot right now. And with the hat as well.
T-shirts.
The hat
as
well.
I'm so glad I don't have. I missed the memo about the hat Christmas jumper. I'm all right now. I'm
so glad I'm wearing chaps. Is all I'm saying.
Crotchless and buttless ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm wearing. It's so good.
The airflow through.
It's just the only problem with it is with the leather chair. It's a bit uncomfortable.
It's the peel.
It comes with you.
Leave a bit of you behind everywhere you go.
I'm just going to give a shout out to Jay Lee. The old money stuff that he was doing looked pretty cool. For ATV.
Yes, I love that.
All I gotta say is Jay Lee, I love you, but give us some of those NPC outfits, like the armor and the outfits, the colored armor that they're wearing, which is all just the normal armor we have, different colored, and all of the outfits, which are variations of what we already have in game. Just give us
Let us have them. Yeah, why not? Just have a shop with random shit that you can go and buy.
I'm going to say this: they need to do the what's his name? Keanu Reeves film. John Wick. They need to do the John Wick bulletproof suits and armor suits so that you can have look stylish and be protected as well. Yeah, and look. And
or what they could do, what they could do is actually have like clothing, like armor that actually looks stylish. Like it looks like clothing, but not like clothing that is armor, but armor that has more stylish like lines to it.
No. Make clothing like
my words. Summer 2019 fashion cats of different suits. That's what they'll be working on the patch brief to that is the spin. The Zoolander spin. That's what's coming. Yeah.
Blue steel.
Super expensive.
You know it. You know what I'm saying.
Super expensive light armor or medium armor, looking good, stylish suits, whatever. Just kind of that. I would unbelievably dig that, and it would be like really expensive, and you'd have to do missions or whatever to get access to it, but it could be super rare. But like I say, one of my favorite things was Metal Gear Solid when he wears a tuxedo. You could get the tuxedo at the end of the game and stuff like that, and you could
I bet your character's gonna sit there on their ship doing this once they get the ring.
Of course.
Just
silk. Nothing touches this body but pure silk.
Just anyway, it keeps slipping out.
Sliding out the chair.
Pilot seat.
Helmet gets shooting off.
And we saw an ATV, just going to give the thing out as well, the shout. We saw the female model. Again, I think they're disgustingly overbuilt and look far too much like men, but people tell me that's what they want, so fine.
I've got the gender neutral top as well.
I think I go with the FemShep model. I think there's nothing wrong with having shaped and styled female armor for females. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It looks nice.
It's unrealistic.
You don't have
that's my issue. If you're going to go with like supposed realism,
why is it unrealistic?
but because you don't.
They have a different shape.
This problem in it's not. It's medieval. Like computer games is so designed for
female.
Yeah,
it's designed for male gaze rather than
you
actual.
Don't shape like a point into the middle of your chest. That's designed to funnel all of the damage.
NASA is. I've done it in Discord. I have some pictures. You can feel free to check. In contact. Maybe you don't have it, but NASA is currently investigating skin tight spacesuits. Okay, they are currently looking at skin tight.
So let's just say for the male and female. It's only the natural curves that are making it curvy.
I would love to see. I have no problem with flight suits showing off a little booty, a little TNA for the female character models because they're supposed to be skin tight suits. But once you start putting on that light armor, I'm not expecting TNA. I'm expecting like protection. And the advantage that females will have over males is that I think they're still smaller. They're shorter, slightly shorter than males.
If I turn up at Lawville and the security guard turns up,
small hitbox.
No, I think the hitbox is the same. I think they've said they won't make the hitbox pretty much the same. There won't be a man.
They're going to make it the same.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're going to make it. The women is not much smaller in terms
of. That's
why
they're not making it too much different. Yeah.
That's why when I saw the woman running in the Darth Vader costume, I was a bit like. Not doing it for me.
But you don't need the feminist stuff. I was like, no, you don't need it. It's just gonna like.
If I'm going to get killed by a female in the game, I want to die looking at something pretty. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to look at that.
And I also think there will be some options out there for clothing and for armor, which will be a little bit more on the skimpy side for men and for women.
Yeah,
because you know what,
clothing
men can look good.
That's fine. Yeah.
What's wrong with men looking
armor,
good?
It make any sense.
Give me some banana hammocks. Give me some bikinis and banana hammocks.
Like I say,
it's especially when we have beach.
Casual wear. If I'm running around budgie smuggler jobby and I jump in
yes.
suit, I'm still in the banana hammock on the inside of the suit. It's
there we go.
Look, exploration suits for women. Exploration suits for women can be I'm not talking about like skin and like boobs and like tiny bikinis. That is a little bit in the 600. That's for the 600i. But what I'm saying,
that's for the grotto on the 800 jump.
But what I'm saying is, in the game,
especially got to do something between
look at like you talk about alien references, okay? Alien spacesuits. Obviously, you had the big bulky kind of suit that Sigourney Weaver wore when she was doing the exploration. There's no way you could tell the difference probably between a woman and a man in that. But then, and you look at the modern day Prometheus, you could argue whether it's better or not. But then
it's shit.
Then they had the skinny the costume looked more more fitted and more interesting for both men's and women's. It was the same. And so for me,
I think that
I just
more
think...
is an attribution to like way sex now sells in society.
What about moves? Why have you got man boobs?
Have you not seen 70s movies, Meatballs and things like that? I think sex sold pretty well in the 70s as much as it did now.
I don't know.
The humors are the same.
Satirical versus serious.
I'm just using that as one reference. We could go back. I can find a lot of 70s shows comfortably. There was a lot of, hey, this was just after the city.
I believe you bloody can.
No problem. But anyway, it's a personal taste. That's just my views on it. I think Paul's right. I think they will have some nice things. I definitely will be, because I want to play as a female character. I want my female character to look fairly attractive. I don't want to look like
for 2018.
Now CIG's not going to make dress up sex doll the video game. They're going to look nice clothing going on, but I would be really disappointed if we didn't have a banana hammock and a slinkini for men for those waterside,
I was going to say stuff. Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to need a bikini full of water. That's all I'm saying. You're not going to be jumping in.
I'm not going to go in a pool in a fucking full flight suit.
Well, to be fair, you did say there. They did. I mean, I'm waiting for Jay Lee's 1920s bathing suits for men and women.
Yes.
You definitely need Crocs for the swimming if you're going to go in the water. You can't go in with boots, can you?
Dear Lord.
What I need is like white cotton trousers, the straight cut ones all the way down, like a white cotton shirt with front unbuttoned, and
the full sort of 19, like with with the mustache.
Drug baron, like like the Colombian drug theme I'm going for.
Yeah.
Maybe cigar,
white linen. No.
Yeah. Did I say cotton? Linen? Yeah, linen. Yeah, sorry.
A bit light linen. Hey man, I'm in the business of fashion.
Nice.
You don't like.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's ways of business of fashion.
Wow, you've just